First off, I want to say thank you. This is the inaugural kickoff of the live stream edition of the CVO Narrative Podcast. And before we even get into any of the particulars, let's first give it up to the country, the homeland, the Philippines.
Yes, sir.
Happy Independence Day, secession from Spain. You left us with Hispanic last names, but that's cool. We're still surviving. We're still surviving. I mean, to be honest and not to be blunt, and hopefully people don't take this as ignorance, but I think we were fine chucking coconuts and spears at each other. And Spain came and said, "You're a Catholic and your name is Lopez." Is that too much? That's too much.
No, not at all.
We're not making light of Philippine independence. Just, I think our country's gone through a lot and has grown and progressed and is now, its own sort of entity finally, like its sort of identity. Like we've missed that.
We made it, guys.
Yeah, we made it. We made it, especially with Mr. Del Mundo, who we'll introduce here in a second. So just to give you some history and background, right? CVO Narrative is really an idea that spawned a year ago with me being a mid 40-year-old professional father, 2 children, sort of a late bloomer, I guess. And
mid 40s already?
What? Yeah, man. I'm 43, man.
How's that possible when I'm 38?
20, and you probably look 38, and then I look 43. So that's a given. But it was definitely like a journey for me to finally discover what I wanted to do, and essentially, how I wanted to leave my footprint on this earth, right, and with my family. So I think I wanted to share that experience and that journey with everybody, because I feel like there are very many like-minded individuals. I think a couple of them in this room, and one actually about to join the room as well. And I wanted to tell that story, share that journey, share the experiences and some of the best practices and even, failures, right? Because I think it's important to give back to everybody out there who is in a similar situation at whatever stage in life, right? That they see this experience and they see some of these things that have happened in their lives, and maybe they can take away something tangible from here, or maybe someone watches the podcast and tells me to go F myself, man. I mean, look, I'm not in it for the money, man. I'm in it for giving back content and giving back tools and things for people to succeed. So hopefully that's what people take away from this. So really, just a quick background on my guest here, Mr. Lyle Del Mundo on IG at I am of the world. Lyle kind of put me on, I guess, if you want to talk about promotions and car shows, and we're talking back in, what year was that? Hyperspeed. Wow.
Oh shit, that was 97.
97. So imagine 1997. Let me lay the background for you. 1997. I was living in my sister's house in Hanover Park, and for those of you who know the Lake Street train station, Metro train station, which is on Lake and County Farm, I think is the corner. My sister's house faces that train station. So I remember I just moved from Cali. I came from Cali. And the import scene was a big deal in like the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And it finally made its way to Illinois. And I remember some word of mouth, someone told me that there was a car show at the train station parking lot. So, for me, coming from Cali, and I'm thinking about hot import nights and like large venue car shows, I'm thinking like, all right, what's this car show about, right? It's in the parking lot of a train station. So I walked over there and see this guy pushing flyers and pushing hyperspeed motorsports, and I think you were like consignment, right, for parts, special parts, and parts sort of hard to get out in Illinois. And I think we talked, and then you convinced me somehow, probably a testament to your sales skills, you convinced me somehow to grab this stack of flyers and to start passing them out, promoting both hyperspeed and I think it was another car show. Well, the end result of that, other than having this long relationship on and off with Lyle and sort of growing and being in the scene, being out of the scene, now coming back to the scene, one of the end results of that stack of flyers was I got a soliciting ticket from the Gurney Mills Mall, which I never told you about. So
what?
Yeah, I was in Gurney Mills. passing out these flyers, and mall security decided to get the police involved because I was soliciting without a permit. So they wrote me a ticket. It was 25 bucks, I think, or something like that. So accruing over that many years, Lyle, I don't know what the interest is like, but we'll call it square. I mean, you're here, you're spending your time here, so appreciate it.
Put out my time.
Yeah, man. So with that being said, and this is who this man is, right? Lyle Del Mundo. And we interacted back then in 97, right? You said 97? It was 97? Yeah. And
96, 97, yeah.
And here we are now. And just to give you a little bit of background on Lyle, right? Like, you started off with Hyperspeed, you moved into Dynasty, right? Dynasty Entertainment, which I'm sure many of you recall. And we went from Dynasty Entertainment all the way to now. You're sitting on the board as the president of one of the largest nonprofit orgs, Filipino nonprofit orgs. And is it just in California, in LA? Like, give me the logistics there.
Yeah. So I currently sit on the board of one of the oldest Filipino nonprofits called CIPA. They've been serving the community for 48 years, 10 years before my time. Pretty much, it's based in historic Filipino town. Started out actually at a youth summer camp around this time, around this time of the year. And pretty much our forefathers that kind of set the groundwork for the organization, back in the early 70s, there was obviously a need for community. So, historic Filipino town was one of those first neighborhoods in Los Angeles where everyone congregated, everyone moved to have their social events. And then, they started developing different types of ways to service the community. So really, CIPA is known for 3 pillars of service. First one is arts and culture. Next one is health and human services. And the last one is community economic development. So, a lot of people don't know, but CIPA actually owns 3 affordable housing complexes. And we're building a new one, which will be 64 units. But our largest one is like 76 units. Like roughly 80% of the occupants are, Filipino immigrants. So, you move to LA and you realize that, shit, I can't really afford rent here.
That's all of California, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like, CIPA is kind of like their starting point, right? And then, we also, most of our focus for the community is youth and family. So, a lot of our programs are designed specifically to service, that population. I know it's pretty broad, but, for example, one of our recent programs is, we call it our senior tech literacy program. So we partner with Google and, we do like monthly workshops on teaching seniors on just how to like text or, use social apps, stuff like that.
Lyle, how do you use that YouTube?
Yeah,
Facebook,
exactly.
The video. Yeah, man. That's huge.
Exactly.
That's huge.
Yeah. Actually, I have a funny story. The last, workshop that we had, older gentleman came up to me and he was just saying, my nephew, he was telling me that I could, find young chicks. And I was like, what?
Hey there. Young of age, by the way, of age. Full disclaimer.
I was like, what? And then he was just like, how do you download that Tinder? And I was like, oh man.
How do you download the Tinderland? You have the Tinderland, man.
It's a good boot.
There's a good boots, man. Oh, jeez.
So, just serving the community now, especially now that I have, a family and children myself, just like yourself, it's important, to kind of, spread, wealth, is a lot of knowledge and experience that you can share with and pass on to like the youth.
Yeah,
right?
let's put that in perspective real quick. Like,
Yeah,
be it that it's Philippine Independence Day, right? Like, think of the progress that we made as a people, as a race, right, as a nationality, of our footprint here in the U.S., right? I think if you look at, and I think probably the majority of us in this age group is first gen, right? Like your parents were in the Philippines and they came over, and then they had you and they had me. I was became a U.S. citizen, right? Because I was born here, and they went through all this struggle to come to this land of opportunity, and and I think the Filipino mentality, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's the colonial mentality, right? We sort of just we're good at fitting in, right? Whether
yep,
it's within other racial groups, it's within other skill sets. Like I always feel like we're that universal Tetris piece, right? We're that line, the straight line that's you can fit in anywhere, right?
yep,
But I think it was also that was it. We were sort of known as like this background sort of race, and we get lumped in with other races, right? Whether it be Asian races or Hispanic races, and we would just get lumped in, and we were just part of the crowd. And I think it's amazing to see the journey that Filipinos have made from say 20 years ago, back in '97, right? When you're promoting car shows to
yeah,
now, where we have such a large presence in the entertainment industry, in government, and in state government, and in even in national government for that matter, in sports. We're never going to play basketball. We're too short. So sorry. We're good at it. Shout out Manny Pacquiao. Ugly
yeah.
jumper, but he makes it somehow. But what I'm saying is like things that like we have a ton of Michelin star chefs. We had a chef who my brother-in-law Noel DeMano, no relation to Dave DeMano, by the way, but they did go to the same high school. His aunt, I believe, was the chef in the White House for I don't know how many
Oh,
years, serving
Comer.
both. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and that's his aunt. So, I mean, we've come a long way, and it's awesome to see our people sort of progress and finally have an identity of our own. I think you can always still check the boxes of stereotypes. Nurses. I
yes.
mean, sure, high percentage of us are nurses, but it's to the point where Filipina and Filipino nurses are like the gold standard. People are like, oh, she's not Filipino. Oh, well, I want another nurse. Maybe we're the gold standard. So again, it's great to see the progress, and I think you're a great representative of championing that cause into this sort of new era for Filipinos, and I think
Thank you.
it's great what you're doing. I think people need to know about that. There's a reason why I thought you'd be a perfect guest on a perfect day like today, the Independence Day, to finally go back to our roots, to talk about stories, to talk about opportunities, and then also talk about things that we're doing today as active members of the scene to move not only our nationality forward, but to move just our brands forward, to move everything forward. So,
Yeah,
anyways, I digress. I just wanted to point that out. I think it was a nice sort of transition, be it that it is Independence Day. But I will let's talk about Lyle post '97. So I think everybody obviously knows you through different years in your career and your sort of progression. They've met you, they've interacted with you, they've worked with you. But how did it start? So the car shows and all of that stuff.
oh,
Like when did that all transition and become Dynasty and that whole journey? I think that's sort of interesting. A lot of people can relate to that journey.
yeah. It's funny that you brought that up, right? So I was just having this conversation with a colleague of mine just oh, for Monday, yeah, about Monday, and so just to not to date us or age us, like just back in the mid '90s, pretty much how journey started was, I lived in California from '93 to '95, and when I came back to Chicago, it was amazing to me, like the lifestyle, the culture, nightlife, just seeing, how you mentioned earlier, like the progression of the community there, because they're at that time, they were like at a whole different level, right?
Yep.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
so uh, me even not knowing like what you know direction as far as career path I wanted to go. I just wanted to make sure that I was able to share, my experience living in California and bring it to, Chicago, right? And share it with, the community there. So, that was kind of the jump start of it. So, I started freelancing with like popular magazines at the time, right? So
Yeah.
at the time, there was a TMR magazine, which was one of the first import car racing magazines. So it was
TMR,
the
was it Toy
Toy Machine Racing.
Toy Machine Racing? That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do
yeah,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah. Shout out to Rodney Wills, for putting me on. And then I also started freelancing for Yoke magazine,
Yoke. Yeah, I remember that.
which was a big Asian American publication at the time as well. Shout out to Tommy Tam. So those were the first two, as far as kind of helping jumpstart the journey, right? So I was actively contributing to those publications, and then at the same time, I was promoting those publications there locally. It was important for me to contribute to writing and documenting what was going on in Chicago, because they had zero representation, and it just didn't make any sense for us to like read those magazines if
Yeah.
there's nobody covering it in Illinois or the Midwest. So that's why I actively like wrote different articles about different car clubs and stuff like that.
You were in fact the Dark Knight of racing.
Yeah,
from what I remember.
Yeah.
You see, Quincy, you don't know about that. Shout out to the Paseo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Shout out to the Paseo. Dark Knight, son.
And
the original.
Yeah, exactly. And then I co-founded a race crew called Okira Racing, based off of the movie, with a bunch of buddies there in Glendale Heights, who also had the same passion as myself. So, and then, that's kind of, I guess part of the entrepreneurial part of my career.
I haven't heard that before.
Entrepreneur? Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
I like it.
So that's when I started selling whole parts on consignment with Hyperspeed. Then obviously gradually, since the car scene and nightlife were also part of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
One thing that Chicago was lacking at the time was nightlife that was 21 and over. So, a lot of the events were 17 and over. One of the largest, annual events was Lollapalooza. Shout out to Vic and
Ginseng Group and Mr.
Miggy.
Ramirez. Miggy Ramirez, right. Flawless Entertainment.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the time, I didn't know shit about nightlife except knowing how to drink, right? So
you still don't know how to drink.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No, you do. You just get red. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Super red.
Yeah.
Super. You already know Q. Especially recently. Anyway, so I actually had asked Vic, I was like, dude, let's partner up and let's do 21 and over. And, at the time, he had Lollapalooza going on, he had a lot going on. So, unfortunately he declined, and I ended up doing it on my own anyway.
Yeah.
And being that I learned nightlife, I was a product of the School of Legend. Legend Entertainment.
That's right.
In LA, I brought in one of the homies, DJ Ice from the Beat Junkies, and one of the co-founders of Legend Entertainment, to be, our special guest. That December, it was like a December 19th of 97 on a Sunday.
I mean, it's the same theme, right? You're bringing this Cali lifestyle,
yes,
to Illinois, right? I mean, don't mind you, Illinois. I love Illinois. I was born and raised here. I lived in Cali for 8 years, but Illinois is my root state and where I was born. But unfortunately, in that era, we were just behind the trend, right? Whether it's import racing, so I totally get it.
Yeah. So it was kind of important for me to kind of bring us to the forefront, right? To kind of level the playing field, because I mean, obviously you all know, like, we have just as much talented, Asian Americans, Filipinos in the Midwest, as there are here in the West Coast.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't as a dense population as like in the Bay
There's
Area.
only one Rizal Center.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So I started Dynasty. I remember that very first event on a Sunday night, we had like 800 people at Excalibur nightclub, which at the time was one of the hottest clubs at the time, right? And then from there, because of the response, we just started doing them every month, 21 and over events, which was great. I was able to use that as a platform to, obviously it was a learning curve, but also I used it as a platform to kind of, gain interest from corporates. At the time, like, I literally cold called a bunch of the record labels. So like Def Jam was actually one of our biggest supporters at the time. The first guy who believed in me was this gentleman, Maurice Harley, who's still actually in the music business. He's still in the game.
Not with Def Jam anymore. He's just
he's no longer with Def Jam, but he started seeding us with seeding all of our DJs, and then also promo stuff like CDs and. I mean, shit, I think we even had cassette tapes back then.
Yeah, man. I will say, and as homage to Lollapalooza, Vic had mixed tapes as giveaways to that party.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately recorded a track named Jenny.
I remember that.
It's terrible. It is terrible. Like, I listen to it now and I cringe, and it's me. It sucks, right? But nonetheless, it did help at the time, right? Cassette tapes was the medium, right? Like, CDs were expensive, but like to produce a song as a aspiring artist, like, I didn't have any money to press on CDs. I didn't even have money to press on tapes. Luckily, Vic and Miggy had taken it upon themselves to get me in the studio, and I recorded this song. One take, by the way. Person who drove me there was I'm not going to name his name because I don't want to throw him under the bus, but the person who drove me there was stoned beyond his mind. And I remember him sitting on the couch, and I did the one take. I recorded the song, and it came out of the booth. I was like, yo, so what'd you think? And he just looked at me like, yeah, man, that was dope. But it wasn't. But it's cool. It's fine. It was exposure. I was just learning how to do those things and get out in the scene. So, yeah, that's what cassette tapes. That's what sort of brought that memory back up. But I'm sorry. Anyways.
Yeah. So, anyways, again, yeah, I kind of used the nightlife thing as kind of a platform to build with different brands. And a lot of people have always asked, like, how did like Brian McKnight or the Black Eyed Peas or Maya or Jay-Z or R. Kelly, any of these celebrities show up at a Filipino or Asian party?
Yeah.
And that's because I built relationships with all the label reps, and that was obviously, again, something I learned from the School of Legend, right? In California, because Ice was on radio, he had established relationships with all the record labels. They were doing the same thing. They'd have talent do walkthroughs into the clubs, and that was like, didn't have to pay for that at all. A lot of the label reps, they always expressed to me that, the reason why they loved coming to our events was because a lot of the talent they already go to the regular urban events, right? And, Latino events, in every market they would go to, but it was rare for them to go to a completely different audience, not even knowing that, a lot of them actually, when I first met the label reps, they're like, what? Asians like hip hop music? I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, back then, and you can probably attest to it being a marketing guy, right? Like, Asian marketing was niche. right? It was like, and I think we had gone through these numbers. I remember me and you working on just talking about like what sort of presentation you would give as trying to negotiate sponsorship, right? And one of the metrics I think was like per capita, the amount of money that was spent by Asian Americans versus other races, and not to make it like a racial thing, but it was because we were so overlooked as
Yes.
a viable demographic to market to. And again, you fast forward to now, and it's like at first it became like this like fascination with like Asian culture, and then we're finally starting to find identity as Filipinos now, which is I mean, you have a lot of celebrities in the forefront. I mean, you got Bruno Mars, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's still people who go, Bruno Mars is half Filipino. I'm like, yeah, he's half Filipino. Like, we like to claim 50% of him if we could, but there's a lot of artists, right? That spawn, and I think Filipinos are just naturally talented at the entertainment industry. Perhaps that
Oh, for sure.
is why the stereotype of us loving karaoke. There's a reason behind that.
Yeah,
I
most
think
definitely.
Filipinos love singing. They love music. They love the arts. And by the way, Quincy loves art as well. He is an artist, so he can probably draw a comic caricature of you, like looking
For
like a
sure.
Marvel
Easily.
superhero. Yeah, man.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
Real quick, I just want to interject. Rex, he's saying, I would like a refresher of how the song Jenny went.
oh my goodness.
Me too.
I
There's
don't,
five other
man.
people that agree with him.
Oh, geez, I don't. Oh, that's so bad. I know Dave is probably like rolling right now because he still does that to me now. Dave might know more of the lyrics than I do, which is ironic. But well, I'll give you the premise of the song. I remember that I wrote the song Jenny, and a lot of the lyrics were like about a girl that should not be, quote unquote. How do I say this without being too direct? But a girl is sort of like sleeping around and like and so it was like this. And why I came up with Jenny, because people asked me like, well, who's Jenny? You must be referring to somebody like personally. I was like, no, Jenny was the most common name I could think of. I knew a lot of like Filipino girls that were named Jenny at the time, so I just happened to use that name. There was no personal reference, but
It's like
um,
today's Karen.
it is
Dave
like
has a
right,
line.
right. It is like today's Karen.
Dave has a line there. Jenny, now I realize that I love her. Something, 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 something.
Oh my god, yeah, yeah. That was like the end line, and I remember I thought that sounded so cool because I used to love her, and I did this like weird the way I spit it, and it was terrible. It sucks. You know what? I think for the credit of the next podcast, I'm gonna find that tape. I'm sure somebody has it. So if anybody listening has that tape, I wouldn't mind if you just somehow got it on digital format, and I will embarrass myself and play that on the podcast for your entertainment. So
Oh yeah.
Kevin says Merry Chris would have been a better name, probably. Any combination of
Nice.
two names as a hybrid name would be a good representation of a Filipino name. So
Yeah.
Question for Lyle from Christian Jacob. For Asian promoters at that time, did Asians think tapping into getting big time urban artists attainable?
At the time, I wouldn't say. I mean, I didn't think it was unattainable because the label reps were consistently volunteering them like, hey, I got like Swiss Beats in town, or I got Nick Cannon in town, or whoever, right? So I mean, to me, it wasn't unattainable. You know, I would say lack of like relationships, with some of the other Asian promoters, and this is like nationwide, right? I think that was probably the biggest hindrance on getting like major talent to their events. Is they just really didn't know how, and they didn't know how to ask, which is, in life, that's really kind of like a key thing that you need to do, right? Like I always tell my own children, it's like you could really get anything that you want. You just have to know how to ask the right way.
that's
So
especially when you ask that way, Lyle, I would give you anything. That's
yeah.
I feel like you just seduced me a little bit.
Wink, wink,
Especially
wink.
when you ask me the right way. So,
Yeah.
I'm like, Lyle, my social security number is no, I get it.
But yeah, I guess fast forward a little bit. I started working for a marketing agency called KBA Marketing, Back then, they were like, the biggest lifestyle marketing agency, in the nation. So they handled a lot of the tobacco brands like RJ Reynolds Tobacco. They had
Was this the whole Cool Cigarettes? No, not Cool Cigarettes. Was it Cool Cigarettes?
No. Well, that was another agency actually. I don't know if Freddie Baez is on this watching this, but yeah, he was part of that other agency that handled the whole Cool tour. And,
I smoked a lot of Cools that year.
Yeah.
Free 99 cigarettes, you couldn't fight it.
So yeah, they handled a lot of alcohol and tobacco. So they were sponsoring like promoters like myself, to do conversions, which realistically that was, the first stroke of like influencer marketing, right? Is, converting like the cool kids to smoke Camels instead of like Marlboros.
Imagine trying to do that now, by the way. How triggered people would be.
I know.
The cool kids. They smoke Camels.
Yeah.
Joe Camel's cool.
Yeah.
He's a pimp.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore, so.
No, not at all. But yeah, so that's kind of like where I made the active decision to, pivot and turn Dynasty into an actual marketing agency. Because, I saw the potential of, approaching major brands, because we had the demographic already, and they're already consuming those brands in one way or the other, whether it was a vodka or tequila or whatever, like they were already, consuming those products, so that's when Dynasty Entertainment kind of switched over to Dynasty Empire. And from there we kind of encompassed almost every aspect of the lifestyle, right? So we were doing automotive, right? We're doing nightlife, then we started doing tobacco, and then we moved into beverage like Coca-Cola, and a bunch of the Anheuser-Busch, a bunch of different alcohol brands. Then we started doing apparel, and it only helped build our brand even bigger because, I was.
You're my son, by the way. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, you're
real time fathering. That I'm sitting here recording this and my kids crying. Anyways, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I love it. But yeah, it only helped strengthen our brand because I had the media backing me, right? So I had Yoke Magazine, I had TMR Magazine. And then, I started, I was a contributing editor for Dub Magazine.
Dub, I remember that.
This is back in 2020, can you imagine? Shit, that was 20 years ago. So, that also, I used that to kind of leverage and build relationships with a bunch of celebrities as well, which I'm still friends with today. That's a big key part of, if you want to get into this business or get into this game, like, definitely it's about building bridges, not burning them, right? And, once you build those bridges, it's about maintaining those relationships. Because, I mean, shit, me and you could have met like, well, we did, but over 20 years ago. But imagine if we didn't still keep in touch or communicate, right?
Absolutely. And, I will add to the bridge metaphor, analogy, or however you want to call it. I mean, yes, very important to build the bridges. Yes, equally important not to burn them. But third, and I think is the most overlooked part, is once you've gotten across the bridge, to turn around and to help other people get across the bridge, right? Because I think that's where a lot of us in the scene or in any industry of any kind, right? When you make progress and you get better and you progress, because I think that as a human race, as just the human nature, right? It's in our DNA to progress, right? To get better, right? Otherwise, you wake up and you're a robot. You do the same thing every day, right? We don't do this. This is not for our health. Like you do things at the job. You do things, to build networks to get better. And I think what we do forget is sometimes when you get across the bridge, you keep walking. And the people that are in the same boat that were with you on that side of the bridge, that they're waiting, they're like, hey, we didn't get the same break, or we don't understand how to get across that bridge. And I think that really comes full circle to what this podcast is about, and what, you know, this conversation is about, is reflecting on where we came from, realizing where we are, and then understanding that it is our civic duty and it is our really human duty to help other people progress. Right. I think that's the only way
Yes.
we get better as a whole. I think the whole, you know, and not to get too politically charged, because that's not the purpose of this conversation, but that sometimes is the problem with the divisiveness today, right? Is that everyone sort of finds a niche, they find this sort of lane, they get in it, and then they put the walls up, and they don't want to help anybody else. And if you're not aligned with how they look at it, then you're the enemy, right? And that happens on both sides of the political spectrum.
I agree.
You have this like extreme, like, if you don't agree with me, well, for lack of a better term, fuck you, right? Like, and that's what sucks, right? I think that's what we need to figure out. How do we get better as a people? How do we get better as like helping each other progress and get better? And I think really it's also, as a Filipino American, it's our duty to do that for our people also, right? For the people that now are second gen, third gen that have been here and they've grown up differently. I almost feel like they don't understand what it is to struggle to find your identity, right? It's almost like now, if you've been here second or third generation, no offense, you've had that identity laid out for you now. It's a little different. So anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, I digress. I will pass it back to you. Yeah. What's
Quick comment by John Santos. The hardest thing in business is picking up customers and building your rep and networks. The easiest thing to do is lose customers, destroy your rep and your relation with networks.
Absolutely.
That is true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
It's all about legacy, right? Like whether it's your business, whether it's a brand, whether it's a podcast, whether it's Quincy's art, whether it's Lyle's mustache, which is now gone. I wish you guys could see it. Whatever it is,
It was
right?
amazing.
Like,
It was
an amazing mustache, by the way. You're right. It is the hardest thing to build a brand from the ground up, to build a network, right? And the easiest thing you can do is just be ignorant, destroy that network. You're never going to get those people back, right? People will remember that. They'll remember how you acted and what you did at the time when they asked for help or they asked for a service from you to deliver and you didn't deliver. That is your legacy, right? So, and we're never going to be 100%. I get it, right? We're going to fail somebody at some time, and that's okay. But, you know, best effort, right? Best effort is really the term. And if you're not giving best effort, then it shows. And people can see right through that. So,
Really guilty of that for sure. You know,
we all are.
I mean, you know, the goal is to, you know, under promise and over deliver, obviously. But
Sure.
anything that any product you have, whether it's, you know, your own personal brand or it's something that you're trying to sell or whatever, sometimes shit doesn't work out. You know, I am guilty of that like 100%. You know, I guess what's important is how do you recover from that is, you know, it really takes time. You know, like, you know, I tell my kids this too, you know, not to keep referring back to my children, but, you know, I try to give them a kind of like the cheat sheet.
Yeah.
So,
why not though? Why not?
yeah, you know, I tell them, I was like, look, you know, your name is really your line of credit, right? So once you fuck up your name, that's it. Like,
Yeah. That's it.
no one's gonna trust you. You know, just keep in mind that, you know, every relationship, whether it's business or personal, is a two-way street. You know, you can't just take and not give back, you know, which a lot of people just don't get, you know, like,
Yeah.
they'll just consistently take, right?
Sure.
You know,
they won't in respect, they won't give back what they've gotten from somebody, right? And that's that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at like in nightlife, right? You know, and you know, actually, this is kind of I credit Vic Malesio for this. Is, you know, back you know, when we were still doing nightlife, you know, there was a point in time where he stopped doing cover at all, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, where, you know, you just needed a password to get in, and that was it. Well, that right there kind of eliminated the whole headache of, hey, put me on the guest list or whatever, right?
Yeah, man. The guest list. That was always that was like the magical thing that just like I'm with the DJ, right? Those are the two terms that people use, the most common.
Yeah.
I'm with D-Double, or I'm on the guest list. Yeah, Lyle's guest list, and then they're like, "Who? You on whose guest list?" Right? Yeah.
Point him out. What is he like?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Magical thing. And then Lyle speeds away in his Paseo.
Yeah. So yeah, it was, when he did that, that eliminated the whole process, but it was actually very smart because it was able to, track, your actual promoters. So, you remember back in the day, like I would make you guys like stamp your flyers.
Yeah,
just so,
yeah, to get credit. Like if people came with a flyer that had your stamp, like I remember you paid us like like sweatshop wages. It was like a quarter a flyer. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Slave labor for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember that.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what that was, right? Is if someone came to the door and said that I was on like Natalie's list, or whatever, like they would just do a tally, and then at the end of the night, boom, you got paid out X amount of dollars per head.
Oh yeah, grassroots at its finest. Yeah.
Yeah, super grassroots. I think for us, at Dynasty, it was important, to obviously expansions for any business is key, right? And for us, that's why it was important for me to find clients that allowed us to expand the brand. So that's why we picked up like, Dunlop tires and
yes, Dunlop tires. That brings up. We'll segue into a memory there for a second.
Sure.
Dunlop tires. We drove to Houston.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did that car show in Houston. We performed. I know our group performed at. Do you remember? It was like a talent show or something, and it was Jargon.
Yep.
Jargon. Shout out Jargon. JD.
He's still doing his thing.
Yeah, Jargon is he's still rapping. Like I give it up to him, man. Like he's
dancing now too. You see him dancing?
Well, yeah. He's doing
dancers.
He's doing many things. He's also a big IG creator now, right? Like his storyline's always an interesting read or watch. But yeah, I remember that. We did the car show with Dunlop. We performed. That's when Dave was a rapper. You know that. DJDDouble was MC D-Double. I forgot what his MC name was, by the way.
Dave Diamond.
Dave Diamond is his alter ego. Yeah,
that's his bum name, bro.
That is the after midnight persona. Then you get him for you get him for all 3 minutes, and that's it. From 12 to 12:03.
But the best 3 minutes of your life.
Hey, you can't trade it for any currency. I'll tell you that much. But no, that's good, and I think that a lot of these, and it's great to hear the journey, right? Because I think you think about where you came from, like you said, the car shows and doing consignment and sort of getting this Cali lifestyle, right? You were trying to bring Cali lifestyle. I remember this. You were branding all of this like this is Cali lifestyle marketing. You're bringing it to Illinois because Illinois sort of picks up on these trends from California, at least from an Asian and Filipino perspective, but not even just as a whole. And you piggyback that into the nightlife industry, where it was essentially the Lakers and Celtics between you and Vic, for lack of a better term, right? It was like Ginseng and Dynasty were like the two buckets of nightlife. So like when we went out on the weekend, it was like you just had to check. It was like voting for a president. It was like Ginseng or Dynasty, right? And you would check a box and you go. But I mean, it's all a very fond memory of a lot of people that are probably on this cast and will end up watching the archived podcast. Is that you guys were sort of industry blazers at that time in Illinois and Chicago. And then let's fast forward now. So you've done, you went into the marketing niche and you did Dynasty Empire. Then you started doing, I'm sure, working with a lot of artists and becoming their personal marketing guy. I know you worked with Jordan Clarkson, right?
Yeah.
NBA player Jordan Clarkson, who, by the way, if y'all didn't know, I made that statement about Filipinos not playing basketball. Well, okay, I retract that. Jordan Clarkson is Filipino, so I apologies to that, Mr. Clarkson. You are representing for us all of the 6 foot and under crew from the Philippines, so I appreciate it. But yeah, so you work for Jordan Clarkson. Let's talk about like some of those different sort of marketing positions you held with some of the various like sports celebrities, and then we can talk about CVO after that.
I want to kind of, well, so it kind of started back in 2008.
Mhm.
I developed this event called the Asian Nightlife Conference, and pretty much what it was and how it happened was one of the brands that we were working with at the time was a company called Diageo. So shout out to Diageo. You know, they always sponsored my birthday every year. I used to do this annual event called the Dirty 30, where you know I used to bring in like.
How many times have you done that? Is the real question.
I'm
kidding. Well, I kid.
I'm 38 now, so it's still going, right? So anyway.
What unit of measure are you talking about? 38. It's a different. It's not years.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, see.
It's metric.
Oh, the UK. Shout out to the UK metric system, baby.
Anyway, so yeah, we would bring in different Bomba stars every year to host, right? So anyway, so Diageo like sponsored it every year, and then they told me, they're like, hey, why don't you do something that everyone could walk away from? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, yeah, it's fun, and it's all fun that, you know, everyone gets drunk and everyone gets time, but we should educate them on the brands more. And I was like, okay. So we developed that event, which was the Asian Nightlife Conference. And because I've built relationships, you know, from Hawaii all the way to New York, I invited all the promoters that I knew in every major market, as well as, you know, a lot of the big DJs, and to kind of do what we're doing now, right? Is sharing that knowledge, you know, how to obtain sponsorship, you know, what it took to, you know, as a DJ to get on radio, you know, talked about programming, you know, stuff like that, right? So because of that specific event, one of the sponsors of that event was Ciroc Vodka. And what had happened was that I really didn't know is...
That's Puffs Vodka.
Yeah, there's Puffs Vodka.
Oh, Daddy. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew a brand rep was coming in, but I really didn't know who she was. And because of the success of the event, after the conference, she was like, hey, you know, obviously I work for Ciroc Vodka. We're fairly new. They, at the time, their agency, which was Blue Flame Agency, they, you know, became a part of the brand October. The event was in January, right? So it's like 3 months later. And she was like, all these people, they came in from all over the country, you know, even some parts of Canada. A lot of them don't even know each other, but they all know you. So I was like, all right, so what? And she was just like, well, we'd like to offer you a position as the national, you know, Asian brand manager to, you know, because you could really connect, you know, throughout the country.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me think about it. And lo and behold,
yeah. You said, let me think about it, but you knew you were going to say, yeah, but you had to, you know, like any good negotiation, you got to be like, well, you know, let me take that away. I'll discuss that with my family. Give me a few days, and
right, that's right.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know if it's. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's just a tip. You know? Yeah. So
there it is.
So anyway,
there it is.
Yes. Uh-oh.
There he is.
There he is.
So
just a tip.
Yeah. So anyway, I became the national for Ciroc, and you know, hired a bunch of my buddies nationwide to be the local brand managers, you know, and also Ciroc DJs like DDouble here, who's also been with us since day one, right? Since we did Excalibur '97.
Yeah. You did Al Capone's birthday party.
Sure did.
Yeah. I remember that.
Jesus was there too.
Oh, yeah.
He was on the list.
He was on the list. I don't know if he came through or not. He had another party.
So yeah, from there, you know, it just kind of grew. After that, you know, I helped Bruno Mars and his brand Silveray Rum launch. That was in 2013 when I moved back here to LA. You know, recently I helped them launch in the Philippines 2 years ago. So now they're available in the Philippines. But yeah, that was a big part of like our plan was expansion of Dynasty. Like honestly, like most businesses, there has to be some sort of exit strategy, right? But we never got to that point, primarily because after doing like Asian lifestyle type of marketing, I mean there are some huge Asian agencies out there that I couldn't even compete with, right?
Yeah.
I just ended up joining them as a consultant, and I would just be marketing assassin for hire, and that was pretty much about it. But
yeah, if this was you in '97, you might have cornered the market, right? But
yeah,
fast forward, I think people and businesses and corporations sort of caught on and said, you know what, maybe we should have Asian marketing, right? Because it does make sense, right? I mean, the three ballers in this room minus me. I mean, look, if you compare, I am drinking my drink out of not even a Solo cup. This is Costco branded cup. And then Dave down there has a Polo Ralph Lauren mug. So that should tell you the level of balling. Look, see, he's hiding it now.
I know.
The level of balling that's happening. Look at that. Hydrate, by the way. Fitness tip.
What is this? Niagara.
Yeah. Fitness tip. Hydrate. So, okay. So, and I think that's what I wanted people to hear, right? Was the gist of how you started. You got to like the marketing game, right? And you started doing marketing and working for certain celebrities and brands, right? Doing brand management. So now we get to where you are today. And I know you have, I mean, we sort of touched on SIPA, right? We touched on your role as the president there. Tell me a little bit about an interesting fact, Plus 63, the marketing, the brand, which I did not know, my ignorance, that Quincy informed me in our pre-prod call before this, that Plus 63 is the country code for the Philippines. I didn't know that. I wasn't thinking about it.
You don't call that often. You don't call that often.
You know what? Skype, baby. Like, I don't even know what's going on. It's just video call, Facebook Live or something, or Facebook Messenger. Call.
Facebook call. That's why.
So I thought Plus 63 was like, it stood for something else. I wasn't sure, but so tell me about Plus 63. Like, what
actually, I hate to interject, but I got to give a shout out. Andre Silva in the building.
Oh my, Andre Silva. Is he? Are you watching?
Up, Dre?
Is he watching live from Africa?
From Africa,
live and direct. Dude. What up, Africa?
Yeah, I don't know who Andre is. Number one, you're missing out. Number two, Mr. Andre Silva. For those of you who don't know but are on the call and remember some group, I think they're called Kai. Don't know.
Something.
They may have sang a song called "Say You'll Stay." Don't know all the words to it. Yeah, right. Andre Silva was the I don't know if his position lead or was Errol lead or were they co-lead?
They all kind of shared a little bit.
They shared a lead.
But
they all
most of the time it was really between Dre and Errol.
Him and Errol.
Yeah. I mean, they both are handsome in their own way. But Dre was one of
short and tall.
But shout out Dre, man. Dre doing his thing in Africa.
Salt and pepper.
He said
salt and pepper.
Heart.
Salt and pepper.
Oh, wow. What's in that Polo cup, Dave?
Man, everything, bro.
Oh, jungle juice.
Jungle.
Oh, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andre Silva.
Hey, look at that. See? Q has the radio mic for when he has to start singing slow jams.
You'll never find.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
So Plus 63. Yeah, let's talk Plus 63. Like, what are you doing now with Plus 63? What is it about? What are you working on currently?
Plus 63 is actually it's also another boutique marketing agency. How the brand itself kind of came about was, we wanted to obviously represent being Filipino, being that today's Philippine Independence Day, right? But not necessarily flag wave all the time, right? So, Plus 63 is one of those like ambiguous kind of brand names, like just like yourself, like what does Plus 63 mean, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why, a lot so we have two different branded logos. One is spelled, the plus sign, and then the number 6, then THR, the number 3, then E.
Yeah, very AOL, by the way.
Yeah. And then there's a colon at the end. Yeah, there's a colon at the end of it, because that way we can just add any extension.
Sure.
whenever, right? So, we've pulled out Plus 63 mixtape. We do these, events. Well, when we're able to do live events.
Yeah.
But it was Plus 63 VIP, right? So, we represented a bunch of the film studios. So anywhere from like Universal Pictures, DreamWorks, Paramount Pictures, Netflix.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did you work with Kate Beckinsale at all?
No, not yet. Not
Sorry.
yet.
So Kate Beckinsale is, and the wife knows. Shout out to the wife, Jamie.
She's on the list.
Knew. Yeah, well, she knew she's on the list, right? So there was, and sorry, it's such a random story, but I had to say it. She called into a radio station. It was one of those contests where this guy, the radio host, was talking about like this a celebrity that he really liked and that he would be allowed to on the list. His wife would let him
the list,
and he was like, "If you can guess who this person is." So then the wife called and she was like, "Kate Beckinsale," and the guy was like, "How? Where did that come from? Like, how did anyone guess Kate Beckinsale of all celebrities?" And it's because she's on my list.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, I was hoping like the 0.01% that you would work with Kate Beckinsale. Then I would have been like, "Lyle, I have a project for you that we can work together on, and you can have me on your team, and I'll help you market."
Yeah. So,
shout out Underworld movie series, by the way. Yes. Okay. Cool. But
so at first, the film studios, they brought us on to specifically invite Asian American like influencers, tastemakers, and celebrities to advanced screenings and red carpet world premieres. And then they noticed that a lot of our crowd.
Hello, kids.
Sorry.
There was a lot of our crowd. The majority of like the influencers and tastemakers that we brought, were not Asian. So then they started giving us like general market events as well as like FM like targeted type of films. So like The Photograph, we just did The Banker, that shared those stories, those like hidden figure type stories of the AFAM community that were kind of lost but then brought to light by Hollywood. So that's kind of like what Plus 63 does now. It's very like influencer target consumer focused, but more recently there was a need to, because all of the current events, we felt that there was a need to do a pivot and do an online event, right?
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be today, but it just didn't feel right over the past 2 weeks to promote a festival at this time. So we decided to push off the Plus 63 DJ Festival until July 3rd, starting July 3rd, also in celebration of Philippine Friendship Day, which is July 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why we have you here instead, right? I mean, I think you're making use of the idle time, and we have to adjust, and that event gets canceled, and we have you here to provide knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. So
Quincy, I have a question for you, Quincy. What's up?
Oh yeah. So real quick, coming from Twitch, PPR Adoy 2020. I hope I got that right.
Oh yeah. No, I know who that is. I think I know who it is. Yep.
Question is, Lyle, you mentioned earlier in the conversation that you can get whatever you want if you ask the right way. Can you share an example of that in your career?
Yeah. So, actually, most recently, I really wanted to work with Netflix, right? And even though I did formally have a relationship with people on the marketing team there, what I had to do, and this is me asking the right way, is I had to kind of show them like my resume of films that I've worked on recently to kind of open up the door a little more. So that was kind of me asking the right way, and for them to gain interest in working with me is to, kind of show my experience. So yeah.
And I mean, I think to build off of that, maybe in asking the right way, you mean, given the situation of having to work with a giant like Netflix, right? It's not like you're going down to your neighbor's house and saying, "Hey, can I help you sell lemonade on the side of the street?" I mean, you're asking this huge giant Netflix, "Hey, I want to break in and I want to work with you, but the right way is to come prepared, is to come with your references and to come with your breadth of work to say, look, I've done this work before. I've worked with other large companies."
Studios.
And so I do know who that is. And thanks for joining, by the way, Paul. I know that's you, Paul. I appreciate the join on Twitch, by the way. So with that, right? So we talked about Full Circle. We now talked about 6.3, and we've talked about SEPA, and I will then now sort of weave in our fourth square that joined us so graciously over the last 15 minutes. DJDDouble, a good friend of mine, otherwise AKA Dave Diamond, right? Depending on how you look at it.
But never Double D.
But never Double D, right? Because I think
Come on,
no one
come
ever
on.
calls him Double D.
Come on,
I'm not a bra size.
Right.
Come on now. Come on.
So, without even like trying to read straight from a presser that I worked on with Dave, probably a couple hours before this call.
When? I didn't talk to you.
I know. What are you talking about?
What? No.
Be right back, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, do your thing.
D-Double has been in the industry as a DJ. I mean, we're talking 30 plus years. I mean, we made jokes about Al Capone's birthday. It's almost realistic that Dave may have been there. Like, I don't know. But Dave's been in the industry. He's been in the industry for 30 years. I mean, you've worked with all of the large hip hop artists of the time in that genre with Common and Camp Lo and Wu-Tang. And I mean, you've done it all, right? You've opened for these shows. You've toured internationally. You're a Violator All-Star. I mean, the accreditation and the resume probably speaks for itself. And I thought it would be interesting to bring you on, not only as a friend, but understanding your journey, because I think a lot of people have the benefit of knowing you as, that's that DJ on Twitch who played Wednesday and was blending Lou Rawls and Lanubians and just a big, like, you don't expect it from a mixing set, right? From a DJ set.
Lou Rawls?
You'll never find.
There
it is. See?
Dun, 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 dun.
And people, people don't know the behind the curtain D-Double, when you started after you put the accordion down and you picked up the turntable.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
They don't know about that. And I think this is where I want to not only share those experiences, but I kind of want to just, obviously not necessarily telling 30 years plus is probably a long story to tell, but I want to sort of highlight some of the decisions and some of the things that you did, wrong and right, that people could take away and be like, hey, I'm a DJ now. I'm streaming now. I'm doing my thing. And even though it's a different era and you had to do different things, I still think the fundamentals are the same, right? As being a DJ. So
of course. No, there's a lot of wrongs and rights that I've been through. Going to school, doing whatever. I'm a late bloomer, number one. So I started out in this game super late, even though I'm old, but super late. I think 1984 is when I started spinning. I didn't start really spinning until I hit college. When I hit college, the doors opened and I said, pool, I said, dancing, I said, DJing, let's get out of the closet, out of here, and DJ for real. So all of a sudden I'm doing all these parties because all of a sudden my parents were like, hey, you have no curfew. Whoa, here we go. So there we go. Then I met people like you, and there we go. And then the rest is history.
Then I battled Rex at Double Door.
And exactly. And Lyle was there probably.
Rumors.
And
fake news.
Fake news. So basically, like, once that happened is when the journey really started. I mean, the journey did start in 84 when I first started DJing, but that was where I guess I want to say I honed my craft. I listened to the music. I learned my music. Like, if you look at me, no one's going to be like, man, that dude's a deep house guy. Nah, you would have no clue. But
What's the coin term now? What's the coin term is open format.
Open format,
which I've seen now, right?
Yeah, I
that
guess
never was a term before as a DJ.
No.
It was open format,
but
right?
I guess I could fall into that category now because I really am an open format. I'll play anything, anytime, anywhere. Like it doesn't really matter. It's just whatever I feel at the moment. And as everybody witnessed the other night, I was all over the place. I'm playing slow songs. I was all over the place. And from '84 till about I want to say '88 when I hit college. That's where it started off with house. That's what I learned how to DJ with. I learned how to DJ with house music. And then as things progressed, it more moved into towards the end of the 80s into hip hop. But at that time, I was a backpacker. So were you. Yeah. Like we did not want to hear any mainstream hip hop, none of that Diddy stuff. I didn't even want to hear Tupac. I didn't even want to hear Biggie. I never played it. It was never in my sets at all. And as the years went on, I just realized, I could make money off of this, but I'm not playing to the crowd. I'm playing for myself. So I'm not making any money at all.
Yes.
And
that's a great transition, right? From not only just being a DJ and being a master of your craft, right? But when you start overlaying business and brand and marketing and monetization, things of that nature. When you're a DJ and you cross that threshold and you say, you know what, it's not just about me loving the music and being a master of my craft. I also want to make waves. I want to not only money. I want to spread and grow the brand of me being a DJ. And I think that's that transition, right? When you realize, you know what, I can't play Jero the Damager every time because the
which
crowd,
I did
all the time.
All the time.
But the crowd's gonna want to hear, Nelly, it's hot in here, right?
Right.
At the time.
And at like literally, I wouldn't play any of that. And I just noticed and decided, I was like, let's just dibble and dabble and play a little bit of it once in a while. Yeah, I'll bite my tongue and I'll do it. I'll bend over backwards just to do it. But then go back to what I really wanted to play, which was either deep house, Chicago house music, hip house, or, backpacker hip hop. And then along came Lyle in '96.
Man, that's got to be a movie.
It is.
Along Came Lyle.
And from that point, we had the crowd. Like at that point, we were like, well, you know what? We can make money off of this. Like we can really start business and start this for real. We have a team. We have this stuff. We have the music. We have the DJs. Let's go. Let's see what happens. And that's where we started. That was the beginning of the path, the journey that we are on now. We're still on it. We haven't stopped.
Yeah, man. I mean, the fact that you can
learning.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? It's all about, and that term is coined a lot in business, right? It's the continuous improvement, right? It's like you're never going to have the best iteration of yourself because by the time you get to that point, there's a better iteration already.
There's something better, right?
Right. So you're constantly trying to grow and evolve, and it's always going to be an organic journey. And that's where the effort piece comes in, right? It's not just about hitting a milestone and saying, great, I'm good, chalk it up and move on, because that's what separates the real influencers from just being part of the game for a couple of years and retiring or moving on, right? It's like how much effort and how much change are you willing to accept, especially for yourself, right? Like being a DJ for 3 decades. Think about that. That's crazy. Like,
well, the other part of it too is that I didn't just stick to one genre. I didn't stick to one group of people. I did at first. I mean, literally everything we did was Filipino, and that was it. And then as years progressed, we were like, that's the realization of, oh, we can monetize this. Oh, there's other things. Oh, there's a market for and a look for some Asian kid doing a deep house party or an all hip hop party. I mean, shout out to Pacifics. Like,
yes,
Pacifics was a crew, and Rex, I see you out there.
Pioneers,
literally. Like we used to get the worst looks at all the hip hop sets. Why? Because we were the only Asians in there. They're looking at us like, y'all ain't hip hop.
I mean, it was before a time when the term cultural appropriation was really being thrown around, right? It was like, look, we loved the music.
Yeah.
And we go back, Lyle, to our conversation about how Filipinos and Filipino Americans, that we just sort of naturally gravitate to the entertainment industry, right? I mean, you see it all the time. And whether it's entertainment or customer service, from call centers to nurses to, we're always serving in some sort of way, right? Whether it's entertainment or whatever the product is. So I think we naturally gravitate to that. And I think for us growing up, it was just like, hey, we like hip hop music. We grew up with, you know, the late 80s. Well, for me, I was in Cali, right? So NWA, Dre's Chronic album, right? Doggy Style, right? Those are all. That's when I really started getting into like hip hop or rap,
right?
And then, but we grew up with that, and that was the music we loved, and we gravitated towards it, and we didn't think about it as a culture thing, right? I mean, like when I started rapping, if I may, and I started being an MC, I didn't think about it like, man, I want to be a Filipino rapper. That wasn't what I was thinking, but I was thinking like, hey, I like the music.
I'm gonna be a rapper.
I feel like I'm okay at it, right? And you know, but we would get those all the time at Sub T. We perform and we do open mics, and I remember, you know, guys would come up to us and be like, man, yo, I didn't know Chinese dudes could rap. And I was like, okay, well, number one, thank you. Number two, I'm not Chinese, but cool, I appreciate it. Thank you for the love. And it's interesting. But now, I mean, it's a different industry. It's different. It's a different time. I think now more than ever, it's almost easier with technology, with social media, with all of these outlets to be an artist, where it's almost oversaturated now, right? Where now you have everybody can be a rapper, everybody can be a DJ.
Everyone could be a DJ for sure.
Which I almost hate, because I feel like, you know, I DJ'd part-time, and here's some disclaimer. I am not a DJ by trade, and I will never claim to be one.
He was for a while.
But I was for a while.
Set amount of time.
Right, because when me and Dave lived in an apartment with Rex, I didn't have a job and I couldn't pay rent. So Dave, I really took what I learned from when Dave was doing clubs and I was out there just really carrying his records or just hanging out, getting free drinks off of Dave's name, right? Like, oh yeah, you know, me and Dave, yeah, we snapping tonight, even though I'm not doing anything, I'm just getting free drinks. But I took that experience and said, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to DJ. And learning back then versus learning now, two different learning curves. I had to learn BPM by feel. I had to understand which records matched with what. When you arrange crates, they had to be arranged right. So you had to look through every record, and you had to make sure that crate was conducive to like the set you were doing.
Yes.
It wasn't a matter of, I have a hard drive and I have these virtual crates and I know the exact BPM and I can even cover that up with auto blend and all these other like features. No, man, we didn't have that luxury back then. So I feel like I want to stake a claim there a little bit to say I learned the OG way, 2 1200s and a mixer, right? And just like you had to do it by feel. But anyways, I don't want to be like this elitist that says now everybody that does DJing is not a DJ. No, I just think the industry has evolved.
Yeah, for sure. It's about pivot.
We pivoted. That's the word I use all the time from Lyle. Lyle brought that word to me maybe at the beginning of this COVID. Yes, but he brought it to our attention at the beginning of quarantine, at the beginning of this whole thing was, so everyone's stuck at home now. What are we gonna do? Let's pivot. Let's pivot. And it's been stuck in my head ever since. So been pivoting since. Like I wasn't gonna go do this DJing thing on TV on Twitch. I wasn't down for that. I was like, I'm just gonna watch everybody. This is cool.
I know. I mean, they didn't even have TVs when you started spinning.
Right. Exactly. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like what?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
We were like Morse coding each other. Beep, 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 beep.
And that's how I used to DJ. Morse code. Yeah.
It's all beats, bro.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Real quick. Shout out to the 29 people on Facebook. I don't know. We've got I think 8. You got 8 on Twitch, and then we got 3 on Mixer.
Yeah. Hey. Mixer's a late edition, right? So
but shout out to everybody that's peeping out the stream.
Yeah, thank you. And I know that it's been shuffling in and out. But thank you for staying with us on this journey, because I really think that the stories we're telling, the experiences we're sharing, are not only just old school references and memories, right? Which is always fun, and we can always joke, and I can always joke about how much older you guys that you are than me. But
Lyle. Yeah.
And then
38.
Dave.
38.
37.
30, yes. Okay. But I mean, it's also a benefit to like the different groups of people that could be or would be watching this, and even watching it from an archive format, to say, what do some of the OGs in the game, what do they have to say about it, right? But say about it constructively, not elitist in an elitist kind of way where I'm like, yeah, I've been in the game, you don't know what's going on, I do, right? And that's not how, and I know that's not how we are here. And I think that was why I thought it was beneficial to bring you guys on and tell that story, because you have some of these newer DJs, younger marketing guys, younger promoters that are still, well, obviously we can't do nightlife right now, but when they were doing it at the time prior to the pandemic. And I think it's a good way of them getting this perspective of the things that had to happen, how we paved the way, or how people paved the way for them to be able to do what they're doing. So that way, us, like this whole dynamic, this group, this sort of age and era doesn't get lost in the shuffle, right? People don't forget that it took a lot of barrier breaking. It took a lot of late nights and hustle and working and not making shit. I mean, like, you know, there were times, Lyle and I will recall very many parties, not to throw you under the bus, but I remember very many parties where at the end of the night, Lyle would give you that look like, yeah, we didn't make anything. And you're like, man, it was the culmination of like 2 or 3 months of work. I'm out there, you know, everyone's out there pushing flyers. We're doing our thing. We're promoting, you know, we didn't have social media to promote, and, you know, but we put in the work, and then, you know, we made pennies, but it was all for a bigger game. And even, I don't think we all realize that, but now we fast forward, right? And we're in this sort of like lane of being mid 40. I'll coin you guys in mid 40. It's fine. Mid 40s of like professional or uppers, professional sort of statuses, right? Where we're deep into our careers, or we're deep into our projects. We've mastered our craft, or in my case, I'm trying to reinvent my craft, right? I think I'm trying to take some of the experiences I have and now saying, you know what, I need to give back. To go back to that analogy, I've been across the bridge, and I think for the longest time I never knew or understood that I had to turn around and give back. I was a little selfish. Like, I think, you know, I did what I did. Whatever clout I got from it was great. I moved on and I forgot about everything. And I think now I've come to realize full circle is that not only do I want to give back to just random people or people, whoever gets touched by the content we give, but I also want to give back to the network that brought me up, to every person that I've ever had relationship with, whether it's a conversation, whether it's having a few shots at a party, or actually getting to some in-depth religious talk, or whatever the case is. I feel like I need to give that back. And this is my way of doing that, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to set up this format. I'm going to be very transparent. I'm going to write blogs. I'm going to talk about how I feel. I'm going to be very personal, because I feel like I'm at that stage where, and Lyle, we talked about this, I'm at that stage where, what is your legacy? I'm asking myself, right? Yeah. What am I going to leave on this earth for my kids, for my family, for my friends? Like, what is the legacy I want to leave? Is it that I'm a good dude, I crack jokes, I have a beard? I mean, sure, those are all things that I'm going to leave, but what else am I going to leave? And the one thing I want to leave is that if someone were to talk about me posthumously, they would say, I know I could ask Voltaire anything about anything, and if he had a way, well, I wish I knew it all, but if he had a way to help me, he will, and I will make the time. I made that dedication, and that shows in the effort for all the people that are watching, like over the last 2-3 weeks of like me just really getting into this, like spamming almost people, like saying, hey, I need your help, I need your support, I'm trying to build a brand. I'm doing this because I feel like in the past I never gave that energy, right? I always sort of said, okay, great, I'm in the industry, cool, I get club privilege and I can get into any club for free because, you know, I'm working for Dynasty or I know Dave or whatever. And that's great. But now I'm saying, you know what? I need to pay for that somehow.
Yeah.
All of that sort of privilege that I took. So this is that vehicle. So anyways,
For
you
sure.
know, I wasn't trying to get into this, like, you know,
No.
pound the fist type of statement, but I feel like that I don't want that to get lost in the reasoning behind the podcast, right? And again, that is the premise. The premise
For
is share the experiences. I have a big network. Lyle, Dave, Quincy. I have a big network of people that have done things and been successful at it. So if I can share that knowledge, pay it forward.
Yeah.
Whether it's just a
For sure.
tiny
For
percent,
sure.
right? So
I mean, definitely thanks for making yourself vulnerable, you know, and, you know, like you said, like sharing the knowledge, the experiences, you know, and even the relationships, right? You know, the one thing that I pride, you know, not in just myself, but, you know, everyone here, you know, on this panel is that we didn't necessarily take the traditional career path that was set upon like our parents, right? You know, like,
yeah,
you know, obviously having immigrant parents, you know, they, you know, wanted us to be, you know, in the medical field, engineers, you know, attorneys or
right.
whatever.
Yeah. Why are you not a
You know,
doctor yet, Dave? By
Yeah.
the way. Yeah.
Because
He is just a different type of
I am.
Yeah.
That's right.
Doctor of
So-
Thugonomics.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, it's important to, you know, obviously, at least three of us here are parents, right?
Well,
Well, actually,
Quincy
maybe
in
Quincy.
theory,
Maybe
might be a
Quincy.
parent multiple times, multiple
yeah.
times
But we
over.
don't know. We don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah.
Right. In fairness.
In
In-
fairness.
You're right. In all
In
fairness.
fairness. Come
You
on.
know, being that, you know, we're that generation, you know, it's easier for us to accept and support, you know, our children, you know, if they do choose to, you know, go and have that type of career path, right? You know, we're more understanding, you know, and, you know, we see it works, you know, like just by our peers around us, right?
Yep.
You know, like, you know, how many, I mean, I'm pretty sure the four of us, like all of our parents probably told us, oh, you can't make money off of playing video games.
Yes.
Guess what?
They still
And
tell me
look at
that.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm still not really making money, but okay.
You did at one point. You
Yeah.
did at one point.
I did at
Yeah.
one point. Correct.
You
But
sure
people
did.
are though, right? People are.
Yeah. I
You
did
know?
at one point. I'll interject. I'll say that I did at one point. Fun fact, IMDb, look up my name. I have a credit as
Mortal
a tester.
Kombat.
As a tester in Mortal Kombat to the Alliance.
Yes.
Which one?
Yes.
2 or 3?
You were
I
the
believe
wizard?
it's-
3 or 4, I believe.
Yes, I was Shang Tsung. No, I was a beta tester. So shout out Ray Guzman, who put me on as a game tester at Midway
In the
Games.
Philippines. Raised in the Philippines now.
Who's in the PI, by the way. He put me on as a game tester at Midway Games when it was by Lane Tech. And I worked, it was probably, I will say, still the best job, hands down, I ever had. And that really should reflect on what this means. And I think we go back to like the career advice and all these other things. Like, are you doing what you really love to do? Right? Like, I get it, right? I'm working a career job and I love what I do at my job, my full-time job. But did I wake up? Did I graduate high school and think I want to be a buyer for a health insurance company?
Yeah.
No, I did not think that at all, right? That was not my intent. What I did know was that I love video games. I love playing games. I thought I was fairly good at them. I still think I'm fairly good at them now. And that's why I always think back to like, that should be the epitome of what doing what you love to do. When I was a game tester at Midway, imagine this. I was 25, or I forgot how old I was. Imagine there's a company that is paying you to come into a job
At any time.
at any time, by the way.
At
There's
any
no
time.
schedule. I could wake up at fucking 11:30.
Voltaire would wake me up. I think I want to go to work. Can you drop me off?
Right.
Yeah,
I think
let's
I
go.
want to go to work. And I would show up to Midway Games. They'd put us in this lab full of video games, right? And you would have like the GameCube and all the other systems at the time. And I played video games for 8 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours, testing Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. The whole time I'm getting paid for this. And there's no cap on overtime. We would stay overnight. I would stay there till like 2, 3 in the morning playing video games. And that I should have known in that moment, but obviously that's all hindsight now. I loved doing it. And I was getting paid for it. That's the magic, right? That's the golden bullet. That's where you want to be. Is like you're doing what you love and you're getting paid for it. Ridiculous, right? So now, moving forward to now, that's what I'm trying to find, and that's what I'm trying to get people to realize. I'm not trying to get people to change what they're doing. Yeah. I just want them to take a different perspective and say, am I doing what I really love to do? And if I'm not, how do I do that? How do I start up and do what I love to do? It's a sacrifice. This is all a sacrifice. What Lyle was doing, what Quincy is doing, what Dave's, what all you guys are doing is sacrifice. You're sacrificing the typical career path of working a 9 to 5 to put in the extra work, to DJ, to market, to do nightlife, to do all of these things that maybe are not profitable in the beginning. And you're doing it, you're putting all the work in, and you're here. And you've done it for years, now for decades in this case. And now we're giving back in hopes that one of these DJs, one of these marketers, one of these influencers will take this and say, am I really doing this because I love to do it? Or am I doing it for the money? Because if the intent is for the money, you're never going to succeed.
Well, this is the perfect time right now. Twitch, you're not doing it well. You're not really doing it for the money, but it so happens you can.
There's a vehicle for money. Sure.
There's a vehicle for money.
Sure.
But right now, when we first all jumped on it, when everyone in the chat, everybody here that DJs with me and like me on Twitch, you were just doing it because we're at home. What are we going to do? Let's join in and let's do it. And then you learned what you can really do with it. There you go. And
so question for the three guys.
Mastering your craft.
Yes.
Question for the three guys. So for me, I was in college. I was pre-med. I was a pre-med student. And I'm totally not medical in any medical field right now. What were your guys's, when you guys were going to school, what were your guys' majors or minors or whatever?
X-ray tech.
Ooh.
X-ray tech.
Okay.
Interesting.
Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it?
I wouldn't know. Voltaire, what were you?
I mean, it depends. I mean, you have to pick a junior college or a community college. I probably have a credit there.
When you were at DeVry, what were you going to be?
God.
I was IT management at DeVry.
I want to say it was telecom. I think everybody was doing telecom at the time. Yeah. So I went to DeVry because I had to go somewhere.
Who didn't go to DeVry?
Who didn't go to DeVry?
Right here.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't.
Ironically, I
didn't either.
Right. I'll share a story on. So, obviously I didn't finish college. I went to different colleges. I was lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I ended up going into sales because I thought, well, hey, you know what? Yeah, I can bullshit and I can talk and I can sell. So let's do sales. So I was doing sales. And I started dating Jamie, who is now my wife. And I remember, go figure. I the tomfoolery I pulled on her, I pulled the hood over and she convinced me.
Wait, who's Tom?
Oh yeah, Tom is my.
Sorry, I didn't catch.
Tom's my friend on MySpace. If you don't know who that is. Yeah.
Good job showing our age, guys.
Before you continue, sorry to cut you off real quick. I have a friend joining us. Who'll be sharing as well. But go ahead until he jumps on.
And before you continue, speaking of Ray de Guzman, he's on Facebook right now. Ray de Guzman popped in from the Philippines.
Shout out Ray from the PI. What time is it over there, by the way?
Man, 5.
What's the difference? Like 11 hours?
7 a.m. 7 a.m.
7 a.m. You're probably having fresh pandesal
and cafe.
4-in-1, right? That's how we do it in the Philippines. No, shout out Ray, man. He put me on for sure.
Or 6-in-1.
Was it 6-in-1 now? Why do they keep making it more?
No, Dave left a 6-in-1 at my house. I looked at
I had a 6-in-1.
And there was ampalaya in there.
There's ampalaya in that one, in the 6-in-1. Boy, I had some PG, secret download stuff, bro.
Keep it PG.
Keep it PG. For those who don't know what I'm talking about,
See, look, even Ray said it. Bulletproof coffee. They got them all in the Philippines, dog. Come on.
In the Philippines, they and I'm sure they have it here somehow. I haven't looked, but I know in the Philippines, because my mom always sends over stuff. She lives in the PI now. In the Philippines, they have these packets of coffee that are sort of pre-made, pre-mixed, right? They're 3-in-1, 4-in-1, 5-in-1. And what that means is like it has creamer, it has sugar, it has like flavoring, it has all of it in a packet that you just dump into a cup of boiling water and you have coffee, right? So it's instant coffee, but with everything else, right? The sugar, the creamer, and all that. That shows my ignorance, because I thought 4-in-1 was the level, but now there's 6-in-1. You're saying with ampalaya, which is a bitter melon.
It's healthy. It was healthy coffee.
Is that what it is?
Supposedly.
So it's for
I tried it and I wasn't feeling it.
Oh, geez. Well, anyways, I'll go back to the story I was going to share real quick before we get Lyle's guest in here. So there was we went to dinner. It was my parents. It was Jamie's parents, and it was about asking permission, right? So I was treating it very traditional. I was going to ask permission to marry Jamie. And I remember like rehearsing this. Jamie knew, like we knew what we were going to do, but we invited my parents. We invited her parents. We went to Weber Grill in Lombard.
Nice.
And I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was like, you know what? The whole thing was I told them, hey, don't worry about it. It's on me. Just order what you want. Well, my dad is like ordering bottles of wine. I'm like, yeah, what are you doing, man? Like, order a glass. Oh, no, just it's cheaper. Buy the glass bottle is cheaper. So he was ordering bottles of wine. I'm like thinking to myself, like, this dude is going to break me. Anyways, we get to finish dinner. We finish dessert. And so then I start making the speech, right? I'm like, well, I brought you guys together for a reason. I would like to ask permission to marry Jamie. And I remember Jamie's dad was like, well, if you're anything like your dad, I'm okay. Your dad is a good guy. I was like, oh, shit. All right. That's a layup. Jamie's mom, late mom, rest in peace. She goes, I have 2 conditions. So there was conditions. And I was like, shit, I wasn't expecting conditions, right? I'm thinking like, this is a formality. I'm just paying respect to old school ways of asking. She goes, I have a question. What do you do for a living? And I was like, I'm in sales. I was working at CDW. Shout out to my CDW crew if you're on, JR, teen. I was selling IT to businesses. And she said, can that support my daughter? Sales? That's not stable. And I was like, no, but my parents are career salesmen. So then it became an argument. My dad and my mom was like, well, sales, the ceiling is very high. If you sell a lot, you make a lot of money. So then it became a debate. Then finally she said, I agree on one condition. I was like, okay, there's one condition. You have to go back to school. Now, mind you, I'm 20. How old was I back then? I was already almost 30. And I was like, you want me to go back to college? Like, I'm past that. I've been working as a professional for almost a decade. Like, I'm not trying to do that. But that's what it was. I ended up going back to school and getting a job. And it didn't work out. I didn't finish school because I ended up getting a really good job. And then I used my networking and sales skills to kind of get me to where I'm at. So moral of the story is, yeah, you don't need the school, right? That if we talked about traditional upbringing, right? And I think all of you can testify here. Yes, it is great. I'm not telling anyone to not get a degree. That is an acceptable way to succeed, is to go to school, to learn a craft, to get a degree, get a job, unfortunately pay off a student loan that'll take you decades to pay off. But that's what it is. I think for us, it was a non-traditional route, right? We didn't want to be doctors. We didn't want to be a lawyer. And my parents, like you said, Lyle, like you said, Dave, will tell you, you're going to make money playing video games? No. And I'm still not doing it now, but unfortunately, I learned a lot of things along the way in the industry, working with you guys, picking up tools and tips. And so here we are. And I think we're all doing okay for ourselves. And I think this is just the moral of it is you don't have to follow a traditional path. You don't have to do those things. You can succeed. You can make your own way. It's really about the effort. It's the effort and the ability to adjust and will. So here, Lyle, I think I have your guest. He's coming in. All right. So let me just accept.
So while you're doing that, I got a quick question for Dave from Twitch.
Yep.
Pete, from your friend Paul, I believe it is. DDouble, most memorable show that you played in, and do you get just a little bit excited when you see someone spinning with vinyl today?
There's a lot of good shows that I really was memorable to me. But one of my biggest ones, I believe Voltaire mentioned it. I happened to DJ for Camp Low, which was one of my favorite rap hip hop groups coming up when we were younger, and to DJ with them, alongside them, to be on stage with them at the same time, here in LA, here in Vegas, or out in Vegas, was like a dream. Like these were people we used to just watch, you know, and listen to. And here's El Diggy just coming in. Hi, say hi, Ellis. Okay. Hi. And yeah, that was one. And also going back to the Philippines and going home to DJ out there. Lyle and I, when we would throw parties out there or go out there, like just going home to play at the clubs out there and experiencing the nightlife, you know, not to tweet our horns, but we helped bring that nightlife to the Philippines. Like Lyle and I and a few others are actually brought people out there, or, you know, taught people out there how to do it. And then they took it and ran with it. And just being there, those are good memories. Man, there's so many, but those are two that pop up all the time.
For sure. I just want to introduce, you know, a friend of mine who decided to join us. This is my buddy Willy Santos.
What up, Willy?
We're talking about career path earlier, non-traditional career path. For a lot of those, you know, that know Willy Santos, you know, I've known for at least a decade now. You know, growing up, obviously one of my favorite skateboarders, you know, pioneer, you know, as a Phil Am professional skateboarder. You know, Willy, when did you start? Like, started competing 13?
Oh yeah, I think it's been like, oh look, first off, happy Filipino Independence Day, guys.
Hey,
hey, cheers to that.
So yeah, it's funny that you're talking about the competition today. Earlier, before going on this Zoom meeting, I was over in Mira Mesa where I grew up skateboarding, and I was in a meeting with a buddy. We're designing the skate plaza wheel friendly zone that's going to be installed there, built by 2024. Nice. So we're really excited about that. Yeah, but yeah, as far as skateboarding, yeah, I mean, at that rec center, because it's going to be across the street from the Mira Mesa High School, that was my first contest that I ever entered, and I guess I could say now I'm like 44 years old. I can brag a little bit, but I did win the first contest I entered there.
Coming back full circle.
First is always the most important, right? You're the legacy for everyone else to follow. So absolutely.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I've been skating for a long time, and I currently actively still do it. I just don't compete. Yeah.
Well, I mean, first off, I mean, again, thanks for joining, Willy. I appreciate it. I will be frank in that I'm not skateboarding is not kind to a big man like myself, physics wise.
Yes.
I learned it very early on, and that's why I said I'm going to play football because
nice. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't skateboard, but man, mad respect to those who do skateboard, because I know a lot of friends that are picking it up again in their 40s.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yes.
And they're starting to realize that not being as physically limber and more prone to injury is an interesting factor when you start to skateboard again.
Right.
Yeah.
And since you're talking about limber, when I was like 35 working on some video part, like I bailed but not slammed, and it felt like I ripped my ribs or something. Ooh. And at that point I knew, like, okay, I got to do something else in order to keep skating. So it's not even a secret, but like I do yoga. I stretch all the time and do some light weights, and that's how I'm capable to be skating still.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I remember when I was younger, I was able to do like, sit Indian style, cross your legs. And then as I got older, I couldn't do it. And then now that I'm doing yoga, it's no big deal. I could sit like that for like an hour or something, or even longer.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, I know personally, like, so I'm more of a traditional power lifter, and I know a lot of friends who power lift and they supplement with yoga. And so to be fair, I was opposed to it, right? Because I was your typical sort of bro power lifter, like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, yoga, no way, right? Like, it's all about being strong and like pulling the heaviest weight and squatting the heaviest weight, right? So but I started to see as I transitioned into the late 30s and then 40s powerlifting.
Yes.
I noticed all of the little injuries that would add up for me weren't adding up for some of my colleagues that were powerlifting and supplementing with yoga. And it's interesting you bring that up because I probably have the flexibility of a steel rod. I don't, I know this when someone says scratch your back, and then my wife just laughs at me because I'm struggling to like put my arm behind my back. So no, it's a great point. I think I definitely want to get into yoga. So I'm presuming then you're a big proponent of yoga. Is there a particular, like, are you part of that? I know there's like Bikram and there's like other different
you know
variations.
What my wife just downloaded some videos that I just work out at home for like 15-20 minutes, and in between doing the yoga, I do like sometimes 200 to 400, 300 sit-ups too, to help the center of the core.
I was thinking like 20, 30 sit-ups.
No, yeah.
300. I'm like, oh man, my abs hurt. Thought of thinking about it. Again, sit-ups. If you think about traditional powerlifters, sit-ups are the enemy, right? They're the enemy of powerlifters. We all think about squat, deadlift, bench, and that's all we think about. And then like sit-ups and calisthenics and a lot of the plyometrics and explosive stretching and fitness. I mean, we don't even think about that. So it's interesting. It's good that we, it's humbling to remember and listen to those, because I think out there, especially with the demographic of people are probably watching this podcast, are probably in this sort of age range, right? They're in that sort of mid 40. Whether or not you were an athlete back in high school doesn't matter anymore, because the true champion is old age, and it always wins no matter what, right? So I'm kind of
damn, I must be the winner.
You are. You are definitely the lead doghouse, lead in the clubhouse. You're the leader for sure. You'll get the green jacket. Just keep aging, right? But aging gracefully.
So bouncing back, how Lyle was saying about the non-traditional career path.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's get to that.
Yeah, so rewinding back to when I was in high school, graduating, what was 1993. The very next day after graduation, I went on tour with Tony Hawk and the rest of the Birdhouse team for a straight month. So I've been on summer vacation ever since then. But my parents, I remember when I was in high school, I met with my counselor, and they were trying to get me to do radiology, but obviously I didn't do that. But I thought about it. I looked into it. I did some research, but that was the extent of it.
No, that's a great point. I think really that's really the consensus and the common bond I think we all share here, is that, for lack of a better term, we all did not follow that traditional sort of Asian Filipino household type upbringing, where like we're all first geners. And Will, are you first gen as well? It's like, did your parents come?
Yes.
Yeah. So as first gen Filipino Americans, right, we were taking on some of the tenets that our parents were giving to us as what they deemed as successful, right? They're like, in order to be successful here in America, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, right? You got to have this sort of traditional path to success. And I think that sort of brings us full circle. I'm glad that you're here. I honestly didn't know you were coming. Like, Lyle didn't give us any premise as to who the guest was. It was just guest. But
Okay.
I think the tie-in was that it was a guest that could speak to this non-traditional upbringing of succeeding, right, in a different avenue by doing what you love and being good at it, right? Those are the two sort of factors. Like if you're good at what you do and you love what you do, the success is inevitable, right? So let's talk about that, right? So I mean, you obviously touched on, you know, coming out of high school, then you went straight on tour with Tony Hawk, and it was all skateboarding. Like at any point during your journey did you think about something else, or was it like 100%
I did. I mean, it was still related to skateboarding. Willy's workshop was it's my skateboard company now, but it was a skate shop for like 13 years. And then now I believe this like next month, July, it'll be going on to 20 years now as a brand now. Yeah. I feel
Entrepreneur.
really old.
Yeah, entrepreneur.
See, and that's the whole thing with all of us. It's again the pivot from when with his skills, with Willy's skills. What did he do? He skated. What did he do? Win competitions. What did he do? Get sponsorships. What do you do from there? Then he rebuilds himself.
Yeah.
Starts a company. Starts this. That. We all did that. Like that's basically the pivot that we all do, and
yes,
that's a big thing.
Yeah, and
oh, go ahead.
No, I again, I think that's the most important part is you make the transition from loving what you do, good at what you do. You made a little bit of money doing what you do, right? And then now it's like, when then is the legacy established? Right. When do you turn around and say, for the next 15, 20 years, what do I want to be known for, right? What is my brand? And I think you've established that very well. And that's what I think a lot of like-minded individuals like ourselves and people, friends of our network, this is the stuff they want to hear. This is the stuff they want to see is, when did you make these decisions? What did you do? What drove you? There obviously are failures, right? It's never paradise. It's never peachy for 100%.
Right,
there's going to be speed bumps. And I think people need to realize that, right? It's not just, you know, I snap my fingers and now I'm a pro skateboarder and I can tour with Tony Hawk. It doesn't work that way, right? So let's talk a little bit about, if you want to touch upon like your journey when you ended up changing into a storefront. Like, so you were skating, you were touring with Tony Hawk, you were doing the skating thing. Like, when did it dawn on you that you wanted?
I mean, I was I pretty much like was part of Birdhouse for like 20 years or so.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I think it was 2001 or something that we opened up Willy's workshop, my wife and I. And I mean, yeah, it definitely, skateboarding has taken me all over the world, like you name it, like Alaska, Hawaii, South America, Africa, all over China, Japan. I've been to a lot of these countries, and sometimes when I'm talking to someone, like they say, "Oh, I've been here," and then we connect, and sometimes I feel like, "Oh man, am I bragging about the places I've been to?" I'm just being open that where I've been to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it has the battles. You know, we sometimes, I remember like in the early years, like especially like the first couple tours, every day we would have a demo. And then I remember we were eating and we were at a Chinese restaurant in the Midwest, and one of the team riders was taken off, or we were picking up, and after we ate, and then Tony's like, "Oh yeah, we're heading to the shop now for a demo." And I was like, "Oh shoot, we got a demo," and I thought we were just chilling.
Yeah, he thought this was casual. No, we're demoing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, this we're talking like 1993, 94, and you know, all those demos. I guess you could say have paid off because I definitely have made a name for myself. And you know, through the competitions and whatnot, it's just like looking back at that, it just almost seems like a different lifetime.
Wow.
You know, yeah.
So I'll ask you this, Willy, and I think this is where, for lack of a better term, inquiring minds, right? If you had to give 2 or 3 key tenets to, say, somebody who's starting a brand, regardless of age, regardless of where they've been in life, whether they had life experience or whether they're just coming out of high school, they don't know what they're doing. like, what do you have as like 3 tenets of advice, or 5, or however you want to count, that you could give to them to say, as lessons learned from my journey, here's what I would say to you before you embark on this journey of doing what you love, building a brand, and really getting out there as an entrepreneur?
I think number one, really, it has to come from the heart, and that you really love what you do. You know, you gotta really, really find that. And
Yes.
it's definitely a blessing that, like, you know, turning professional skateboarder, it really didn't just fall on my lap. Like, I really had to work at it, you know, and
Yes.
I loved it so much, and that's what I wanted to really do, and nothing else really. You know, that's what I gotta say. That would be to sum it all up, I said.
Yeah, and if that doesn't reinforce what before you came on, that
you gotta
was
stay hungry. You gotta stay hungry for sure.
Yeah, oh,
Stay
absolutely,
hungry.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was, it really reinforces the 2 points I think we were talking about before you came on, Willie. Was we said, hey, you know, number one, you gotta love what you do in order to succeed at it, right? It can't just be something. You can't go into something thinking, how do I make this profitable? Sure, in the short term, you can do that. I think anybody with the wherewithal and the hustle can make something profitable short term, right? I mean, anyone can turn that around. But I think what separates that sort of short term gain from somebody who builds a legacy is, do you love what you do? And if you do love what you do, then how do you make that a brand, right? You can translate. It's much easier to translate something you love to do into something bigger versus I'm going to go in and try to maybe, you know, copy a template, or I just want to be profitable short term. And I think it's not sustainable. And I think too, that the other point you brought about stay hungry, I think that is, and you know, Willie, I know we don't know each other, but as a testament to the reason behind me bringing this podcast together, just to give you the quick elevator speech history. Me and Lyle worked together back in the day. You know, we were promoting. I did some DJing with Dave here as well, and I was in the scene industry-wise. I was an artist, and so I left it, and I became, you know, I worked at a corporation. I'm working in a corporation today as a full-time buyer. And, and I came back full circle, and I thought to myself, like, you know, this pandemic, which sort of sparked this this idea, was I have all this idle time. And we all talk about, you know, I think our initial response to anything is when someone asks you, hey, do you have time? I think by human nature, we all say we're busy, right? Because we have a lot of things going, right? So our natural instinct is to say, man, I'm busy. Sorry, I couldn't get to it. Or sorry, I'll get you next time. And so I really did some self-reflecting with the time, the extra time I had not commuting to my job, right? Being home and working remotely. I thought to myself, am I busy? Or am I just not being efficient with my time, right? That's really the big argument, is that it's not, and I use this as my sort of motto of the podcast, is it's not how much time you have, it's what you do with the time you're given. And I think we always have to question ourselves as how efficient we are. So to come back full circle is, I thought to myself, what do I love to do? What I love to do is I love to put out content. I love to touch everybody out there with experiences, with stories, with my network, to share those stories and those experiences to better them, right? To turn back around, and to use an analogy me and Lyle and Dave were talking about earlier was, we can build the bridge, don't burn the bridge, but most importantly, help people cross the bridge. And I think that's what people forget, right?
Yeah,
we cross the bridge, you're becoming successful, and you don't turn around and see that prior iteration of yourself in somebody else to say, I remember when I was like you, and I should be able to share that. Because if we do that as a whole, I think there's organically, like, everything succeeds and everything moves forward, right? The divisiveness goes away, and we're all helping each other. And I think instinctively we should. It's a key form of human survival. So anyways, I think that was the reasoning. And I'm glad that Lyle didn't give me the premise, because this is interesting to have to understand exactly who was going to come on, and then right away having to have to ask questions is a test to my off the cuff skill. But that's fine. I'm as Dave knows, I'm off the cuff. I'm a little good.
Always
a little bit. So no, that's glad. I'm glad for the advice. And I think if anyone out there who's watching the cast on Twitch, on Facebook Live, on Mixer, you know, these are the type of things that we want to give to you. We want to give those tools to you. We want to give those experiences and share those stories, not only to just plug our own sort of businesses and plug our own brands. Yes, of course, this is always going to be, if you're not selling yourself, then you're wrong, right? But we also want to share and give back content for free, right? We want to give you those things because I think it comes back to you tenfold, right? That person you help across the bridge is going to be the same person that when they become successful, they're going to name drop you too. Like, hey, I made it here because of Willy. I made it here because of Lyle. So I think that's probably the most important takeaway from here. Does anybody, like, I'll sort of open it up because I know we didn't really have a format as to who our special guest is because it was mystery. And I'll leave it open to everyone here on the cast and everyone out there, like questions for Willy in terms of his journey, his experience, any sort of advice you'd want to know. So I'll first kick it off to people in here. So Quincy, Dave, do you have any questions for Willy?
Willy, if like in your journey, did you have any moments where you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this anymore, or man, this is getting rough. Who's gonna help me out? Or did you have any? What were your lower times in your journey as a skateboarder?
Well,
how did you get out of? How did you get yourself out of it?
Well, like with like business, with skateboarding, like with the. Let's see, there was 9/11, like right when we opened up Willy's workshop, like it was just before that, and it was like amazing. And then the 9/11 hit, like, oh my goodness, wow, we just opened up the shop and then we have to deal with this. And then the with the housing crisis, like doing that and then closing the shop is just like, oh my goodness, what are we doing here? So, I've definitely gone through the ups and downs. But through that, with skateboarding, it allows me to be out of that business stuff and just have fun. Yeah. And it's also exercising. You just escape from that whole element of being a grown up, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure we all
skateboarding has been there for me. Yeah. If that answers the question.
Oh yeah. No, that's perfect. Thank you so much. I got a question from Facebook. Christian Jacob, Willy, you always post your breakfast on IG. What does it consist of?
My what? Sorry.
Your breakfast.
Oh yeah.
He's a big fan, Willy. That's why. So he wants to follow your breakfast ritual.
Yeah. Well, usually when I wake up, he's probably talking about So I have a coffee. But before I have a coffee, I drink a teaspoon of apple cider.
Oh, apple cider vinegar.
And so the vinegar, apple cider, so I drink that a teaspoon. I know some people like drown it out with water or whatnot, but I just I'm just gonna take it because it tastes so nasty. But I have my coffee as the chaser.
Get it over with.
Yeah. It I think it helps cleanse the body. When I'm at home, I do it daily. But I travel a lot too. I don't bring a jug of the cider.
Apple cider vinegar, yeah.
So I try to eat as healthy as possible to that I can still skate when I'm 80 years old or something. That's what I do. And then my birthday just passed October, or I guess now it's a while ago, but October 1st, and my wife and some friends, we went over to Las Vegas to do the last hoorah, and the very next day I'm sober guy, so I haven't touched any alcohol or anything since then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it wasn't like I had a problem with alcohol. I even did that back in 2010 just to see if I could do it from birthday to birthday, and I did, and then that's how we had our first child. Willy Santos Jr.
That's it,
There you are.
Good times.
Yeah. So right now, my goal is a whole year, but the way it's going it's man, it's awesome to be sober and you really feel 100. I'm not kidding. You do. Yeah. As I'm drinking a red cup, you guys are probably like, oh, what is he drinking there?
Nice.
Yeah.
It's water.
I'm the same way. I have the same journey with smoking, and
Okay.
I smoked for 20 plus years. I'm now going on, I believe this is year 6 that I haven't smoked now, cold turkey. So for me, the eye opener was having the kid. I had my first kid.
Okay. Yes.
And I quit in the parking lot of the hospital where my wife just delivered. So it was like a decision where I was like, okay, I kept putting it off, right? I was like smoking since I've been smoking since I was like 15, and I'm 43. Wow, okay. I'm 43 now. So it was like I was smoking, and then when we got married, I told her, okay, when we actually get married, I'll quit. And we got married, and I was like, well, when you actually get pregnant, I'll quit. Then she got pregnant. I was like, when you have the baby, I'll quit. And she had the baby, and I was like, I'm done. I don't have any other excuses.
Yeah.
So I still have the pack of cigarettes that I quit with as a reminder. Yeah, it's in the center console of my car. I look at it every day that I drive the car. Probably not as much now because I don't drive as much being home, but I look at it every day to remind myself, like, don't smoke again. This is the symbol of like when you made that life change. Yeah. Don't make this pack of cigarettes mean nothing, right? Right now it has a lot of meaning, right? It's a symbol. The pack of cigarettes is a symbol that I made a change in my life to not smoke. So, I don't want to discredit or defund that pack of cigarettes to make it worth nothing, right? So, well, kudos to you for not drinking. I'm glad. The quarantine for me, I actually didn't drink for a while, and I think the quarantine spawned a bunch of happy hours on Zoom.
Oh, sure.
With work and like other groups of friends. So now it's like,
talking about?
I don't know. I've never been there. I haven't been there.
Me neither.
Liars.
I'm in like
full steam. If you think about it, like your body's like a temple, a vehicle, and like you want to put the good stuff in you, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I stand, and sometimes I don't eat perfect or whatever, but I still like to eat red meat and whatnot. But I definitely love vegetarian, vegan, Impossible burgers. Oh my goodness!
Impossible burgers.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that
instead
up.
of making tacos, use Impossible meat. Like, oh my goodness, it tastes. It honestly, it seems like it tastes better. Oh my goodness, yeah. You guys tried it, right?
I will attest to it.
Definitely.
So, and
Lyle doesn't eat.
Lyle
doesn't eat anything.
If your body's a temple, then Lyle's body is like a strip club because he's like,
it's like a motel,
forget it, man. I'm just gonna go.
Motel 6.
Yeah.
No, it's a Motel 6 with nothing in it.
Oh, I mean, I love Lyle to death, but that's Lyle. I will piggyback on that, Willie, in that. So for work, I travel a lot, and I go to India quite a bit.
Oh wow!
And in India, the majority of the people there are vegetarian, right? Based off of the cow being sacred, right? Depending on where you are.
Yes.
And so I never realized, being a very traditional sort of Filipino, where pork is a staple, meat's a staple, right? Like, I didn't think anything of it, right? I'm like, I went there and I was like, this sucks. I can't eat anything here. It's all veg, right? So at the first time I went to India, I hated it. I was like, this sucks. I can't eat anything. But then I started to eat the food, and I actually just before Easter, I had not eaten meat for a full year.
Wow.
Yeah, I took a whole year off and I went veg. And I will say, now mind you, I'm eating meat again and I regret it, but it's the quarantine. I'm using that as my excuse. But in the year that I didn't eat meat, less fatigue, less inflammation, less injury when training. There was a lot of differences in the diet with eating veg versus meat. And I was sometimes being pescatarian. I would introduce some fish here and there, but it was for the most part veg, right?
Yes.
I noticed a difference. So I will say, and I'm not going to try to make this like a podcast on like, hey, be vegetarian or else you suck.
Right.
But try it. And I think the moral of the story is try it, because I think if you see the difference, you may change. Lyle, maybe not. I think Lyle is all about like, you'll never get him to quit eating tocino and like longanisa and like.
I think I would wither away. That's honestly.
Well, I mean, what are you, 110 pounds right now?
Hey, bro, come on, wither away.
Where
are you withering?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
He'll wither away
skinny
to
fat kid.
he'll wither away to Hooters. I know he likes Hooters.
Yes.
That's right.
Funny story, guys. Funny story.
Here it is.
Where do we always have our meetings in Chicago, guys? Where?
Is it Hooters on Cumberland?
Oh my God.
I'm guessing, and I don't even go to those meetings, but I know.
Yes,
That would
you would.
probably
You would
be
go.
probably be
You would
yeah. I would go, but I would probably be the guest. Yeah, Lyle is. Are you sponsored?
No,
Lyle?
no, not at all. I wish I
God,
was.
man. You
Hey,
yeah.
Another funny story.
Speaking of Hooters, there was one tour. It might have been 2009. We were sponsored by Hooters, so we had this discount card, like 20 or 30% off.
Look at Lyle's face. He's like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. I'm definitely a fan of Hooters, but then also the food I do.
See, I got
don't
my
mind
own.
the food. I like the food.
So my funny story with Lyle and Hooters. So Lyle helped me move from the Bay Area to Vegas, and our first meal when we got to Vegas was Hooters.
Of course.
Oh. I mean, the fact that Hooters has a casino, I mean, wow, you must be ecstatic.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not there anymore, is it?
It's not there anymore. They closed it
It's
down.
not there anymore.
Oh,
I haven't been to Vegas in a while. So really, they close it?
Yeah.
They even closed there's a Hooters in the Palms, and they closed that one down too.
oh,
That was supposed to be
I'll
the world's
stop going.
biggest one.
Yeah, that's supposed to be
Yeah.
the biggest one.
Yeah, I stopped going.
It's
Yeah.
okay. The 24-hour one by my house.
It's by the house.
There.
wait, 24 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one right on
Rainbow and Warm Springs.
in Warm Springs.
Wow.
Man, Hooters. That I mean, yeah, I could go for some Hooters to be honest, but
I could with rice right
yes,
now.
Right, yeah,
everything
yeah.
with rice, right?
Yeah.
That is you're not
No,
doing
but
it right.
brown rice. Brown rice.
Okay, even
Brown
better.
rice.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Man, I feel see Willie, I wish you were there to stop me when Easter came, because I think Easter was my deadline. It was year to year. So when I did the year of no meat, then Easter hit and it was like a free for all. I think I had like a 24-ounce porterhouse. I had like pork chops in the same day. I had like lechon kawali. Like I ate everything meat,
Man,
and I
Yeah.
was sick for like 3 days. It was
killing me
gross.
softly.
That's
Oh
it.
my goodness. But
That's it.
yeah, I'm in agreement. I just think saying and doing obviously are two different things, but I've done it before and I get it. Like I do understand the perspective of being veg and the benefits of it. So Lyle, you hear this?
Yeah.
No more meat.
Lyle's like, what are vegetables?
Yeah.
I ran out of battery.
Oh, see?
Oh, I can't hear
Yeah.
you.
His earphones are powered by Tocino grease. You just gotta
Yeah.
Just
you gotta
wipe
get
it.
going.
Mantica.
Man, I heard if you eat gulai, you won't turn red when you drink alcohol.
Oh, see, that's what I heard
Just
too.
saying. I'm just saying.
That's what I heard.
Jeez.
I
That's a good
wouldn't
one.
match my sweater like you do.
Gosh, is it hot over there, Lyle? I'm just 'cause you have the hoodie. I'm wondering if it's like
I'm in right now I'm in the Bay Area, right? So
a little cool.
you know, yeah, it's today was cooler, overcast. We're actually about to take off for Tahoe, and it's
Yeah.
like 50 degrees over there. So
Yeah, Lyle's going to Tahoe. He told me that he didn't want to talk to us that long, and that he wanted to go to
Yeah.
Tahoe, which is cool. I'm okay with
And
that
which is cool, but he's still here.
because
Yeah,
you
he
know
Wow.
he is
He's still
and
here.
We're
yeah,
getting in
some
trouble.
people are running behind.
I
so
see.
it's okay.
I see.
Ah,
I saw your eyes. I saw your eyes. Tell her. I saw your eyes. I
That's
saw
it.
them.
That's it.
Hey.
Well, I'll wrap it up. Willie, I want to thank you for joining it. It was one of those things where, in this podcast really is just getting off the ground. This is actually the inaugural live
First
stream,
one.
right? So I've done audios, but this is the first live stream, and I think we're trying to move to this format as a way of performing with the times, right? I mean, I was against it. I was being the sort of like elitist when it came to technology. I was like, no, I'm going to do audio because I like audio. I don't want people to see my face because I'm ugly. But I said, no, let's do the stream. I have a great network, and that network has a great network in turn, Willie, right? So thanks for coming on, and we look forward to having you again. And is there anything before you go? Is there anything that you're working on? Anything that you want to plug, or something that you want to let us know about that we can have some of the viewers and people take a look at and support?
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're speaking about plug. Also, other than it's also in the realm of skateboarding. But last November, we also launched this new company, and it's funny to say, but it's a pillow, but it's a parking block pillow. So
Parking
we
block.
got it. So if
They're so
being a
dope.
skateboarder, it's something that like you start off doing a grind or a board side. So it looks like just like a parking block, but it's an actual pillow, and it's called couch curbs.
Oh,
So we're really excited.
Oh.
Website,
Yeah,
Willie. What's the website?
What's the website?
Oh, it's just couch curbs, couchcurbs.com, or you can see the
couchcurbs.com?
Instagram. It's at couchcurbs.com. We just did a big shipment over to Japan, and it's selling out there.
Wow.
And
If
we
it sells in
gotta-
Japan, it'll sell here. I mean, that's
Oh,
how
yeah.
that works. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then we got this big. Here's a picture of it.
I'm looking at it right
I didn't-
now. It looks dope.
Oh, you can't see. Oh shoot. Oops. Sorry. I didn't bring one with me, but we got this big collaboration going with another company that's dropping like in the next week or two. But I gotta keep it on the hush hush. But you'll see it on my social network. So it's
Absolutely.
gonna be
Yeah.
really
So, yeah, everybody get a look out. I mean, especially some of the reinventing themselves skaters. So Christian, especially you, get out there. Christian is the one who asked the breakfast question, Willie. So,
Oh, okay.
Christian,
Yes.
yeah, Christian, definitely get out there. Couch curbs. You probably already know about it, but thank
He
you.
sleeps on
Appreciate
it. He sleeps on it.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
is it
he's already.
multi-purpose?
It's at his house. It's at his-
Oh, is it? Yeah. Yeah, we ship directly. So yeah.
There it is.
Wait, you
There-
don't mind? Let me take a picture of you guys real quick here.
Absolutely.
Hook you guys up on the story here. 1, 2. Hey Lyle, can you do me a favor? Just send me the Instagrams to everyone so I can
Oh, for sure. For sure.
hook it up. And then
Most
yeah, of course,
definitely.
send me the link. Send me the link so I can
Yeah.
push this because this is recorded, right? This
Yep.
podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll upload it
Okay.
to a YouTube channel. Willie, I'll send you all the links that you need
Thank
to
you
be
so
able
much.
to
Yeah.
access it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thanks for taking the time out and allowing us to really just take a little dive into your journey. And again, I think it warrants another podcast another time to keep
For sure.
breaking down another segment. And I'm sure at that time you may even be a different iteration of yourself as well. So thanks, Willie. Appreciate it.
Hey, my
Thanks,
pleasure.
Willie.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a
we'll talk
great
to you
weekend,
soon,
Thanks,
guys.
Willie.
Willie.
For Willie.
You too, man.
Thanks, bro.
Couch curbs.
Couch curves. Hey.
Good night.
Hey, sige na. Bye-bye.
Okay, close it.
Close open.
Close up in. Close up in. So with that, and Lyle, thanks for having a guest come on. I think it's good perspective, and I think this is the kind of stuff I really want to get into. Is like, not only is it our own network, right, our internal network, we know each other, we've known each other for a while, but
Yeah.
it's when you bring in the people like that, so that our network sees that it's not just us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's artists, it's people out there that are doing their thing, that have taken the same journey, and can provide that feedback and knowledge. So, in closing, and I'm going to say that I think we've got a lot of great material, but I also don't want to unload all of it in one episode and then not have anything to talk about, right? I think we don't want to give everyone too much. As a salesman, you want to give them just enough.
Just the tip.
And then
Just the tip.
Man.
to coin Lyle's term,
Just the tip.
not me, just a tip.
I said it too.
And Dave's term as well. Just a
Dave
tip.
said place the tip.
Place the
Oh,
tip.
he said, place it gently.
Take
Gently.
it. Place it. Yeah.
Place it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to give them all of it, so that as we go on to further episodes, we can sort of slowly release the content and so on and so forth. So I want to say, again, without getting too emotional, right? Because I think at some point I was getting kind of inspired. I was like one of those
Yeah.
raise the fist type conversations. But I think if anything, that should tell you how much energy and how much emotion I'm putting into this project, into this brand. I'm taking it very
Proud of you, bro.
seriously.
Proud of you.
For once,
Good
I'm
job.
actually, doing what I'm
job.
saying. So with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure that you go to all of my content. I'm going to plug it. It's www.streamerlinks.com/Voltese. And it's really just a repository of all of the links of my content. So YouTube, Mixer Gamer streams, Twitch streams. You're muted, Lyle.
Oh, you're on mute.
Is that a V or a B? Boltisi?
Boltisi.
Oh,
Boltisi.
I wonder if I should create both for my Filipino crowd. So the
For
Boltese,
the accident. For the accident.
For
Yeah.
the
The
accident,
Boltisi.
yeah.
Boltisi.
So I will go round robin here just to give a few minutes for you guys to talk about any sort of projects, anything that you want to plug. Then I'll sort of close it out with a statement, and we'll end the cast. But Lyle, do you have something to say or plug or anything that you're working on that you kind of want people to know about?
I guess in closing, again, back to advice to my children, that I've given is, sometimes it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of that, quote in the past, but the important thing is being able to monetize those relationships.
Yep.
Right. So, you could know like the VP of nightlife at MGM Resorts, but if you're not able to like develop the relationship enough where he would hire you, then, you're not maximizing it to its full potential, right? So, as far as like upcoming events, I guess stay tuned July 3rd. We have our +63 DJ Festival, which we are actually going for a Guinness World of Records.
Say it again, 10 times faster.
Genius
Good record books.
So
recording.
63-hour stream.
Knuckle 63.
Yeah.
Look at that branding, boy. Look at that branding.
63 DJs
Man.
from all around the world. Some of the best of the best.
What position is 63, by the way? Is that a
Wow.
You'd have to find out by yourself.
Hey. All right. I'll watch. Let me watch that one.
Ampasro.
So when's the date? When's the date on that, Lyle? Again,
It starts noon July 3rd.
noon July 3rd.
Yeah,
Okay.
follow us at TLUS, the number 6, THR, the number 3E, or you can follow me, which is at I Am of the World.
Yes, that is the one. I am of the world.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that when I do upload and archive it, that I'll have all. Lyle, just make sure you send me all the links, and I'll make sure they're in the description of the vid. So when people watch the archives, they'll have all the information they need.
For sure. Thanks
So-
again for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being you.
Thanks for letting us have you before you go to Tahoe.
Thank you for being you.
And make a sexy time, because I think that's what's going to happen.
Sexy.
Always.
You're going to Tahoe. It's Pandemic Babies 2020.
Oh boy, capital P.
Yeah, that's it. Get all 5 minutes of Lyle, because that's what you're going to get.
4.5.
Oh, see.
All right, Lyle. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a safe trip to Tahoe. Give my regards to Janice and the family. We will have you back on soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.
David, anything you got as far as plugging before we go?
Alongside of what Lau was saying, we got that +63 event, and that's not till July 3rd. This week, catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJDDouble. Tomorrow night I believe I'm on at 11 p.m. Pacific time on my channel, DJDDouble. We are doing Happy Birthday Furious. DJ Furious from San Diego. We're doing a Furious Festival all day long.
So angry.
Yeah,
Yo,
he's so
man
mad.
is an animal. Like, I just started following him. That dude is an animal. That dude spins for like 10 hours straight.
Yeah, that's how he does. That's what he does. And then when the alcohol gets in,
Uh-oh.
it becomes, oh boy, And then catch us on Dance From Home. Big up to my Dance From Home DJs.
Dance From Home, Jeff Mobby.
Jeff Mobby's out there.
Jeff
Mobby's out
man,
there.
represent.
Yeah, we're
Dance
out
From
there.
Home DJs.
Dance From Home. Ellis, I'm speaking. That's my daughter. Don't mind her. She's on my stream too. If you want to catch her, she's there. Dance From Home DJs. We're on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Check us out at Dance From Home DJs.
Absolutely. I think they're on now, right? Are they on now?
No, what's today? Friday. No, tomorrow.
Are they on tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll be on
Okay.
tomorrow.
All right.
And I'm on there next Wednesday and Saturday. Yeah. So
Yeah.
come
If you
check us
didn't
out.
catch the Dance From Home stream on Wednesday night, not that I'm playing favorites because I know Dave, but Dave definitely his set was I made Bangit face a lot.
You did. You were like this, right?
Like
Bangit man stay face.
Hey, that's right. So I'm coining that, Dave. It's gonna be
Bangit
an
Mansi.
emote. It's
I'm
gonna
gonna
be
make the emote.
Yeah, it's gonna be Pangit Mansi. Just
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah,
Ew. Love it. Love it.
then I'm gonna wear a neck brace. Like
Ah,
Yeah.
And then you get the other emote. You just have the neck break. That's it.
Yeah, but it'll have the calamansi will have a beard.
Yes.
So it'll be cool.
Okay.
It'll be cool.
Good. I'm down.
Custom emoji to come from my Twitch channel. So, all right, man. Well, Dave, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more stories that we didn't touch, which is great because I think it just makes for more material to talk about. But, thanks for coming and sharing some of your stories and your experiences. And
I just want to add good job to your mod.
Oh yeah, man. Little
Thanks.
Quincy
Good
J,
job,
man.
mod. Quincy J.
You know who you're not giving props to? Who's not on the stream, but he is modding.
He's right there. I see him right now.
No, tweeter, John.
Yeah, I see him right now. I'm
you see
looking
him?
at him right now. Yeah, he's on Facebook. He's chopping it up.
Oh, he's chopping it up. Okay,
there
perfect.
he is. Oh yeah.
Yeah, big ups to my. I will say that John,
Tweeter.
aka Tweeter, he is very instrumental. Other than my family, who's been supporting me through this, like taking extra time to do this, John actually helped me by setting me up with equipment. I didn't even own a webcam, to be honest. And webcams are like gold right now. You're not going to find any because everybody's buying them up, just like fitness equipment. So Tweeds hooked me up. He gave me the camera. So a lot of the stream really is due to him. A lot of my progression. So big ups to Tweeter. Floho Gaming. If you guys don't know, follow Floho Gaming, FLOHO Gaming on Twitch and on Facebook. He's got a live stream with his daughter. They're playing games. So
awesome stuff.
Please follow it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Dave, man, thanks. I appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next one.
Say bye, Ellis.
Hit me on the hip, bro.
Hey, to coin, rest in peace, Danny LA.
Danny LA.
The hip. Or what I've coined it now is Bo Jackson. I just say Bo Jackson now, and that means hit me in the hip. Because Bo Jackson.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I told you, we forgot to tell the me and Lyle story with the.
Damn it! With the feels good, we missed it.
That was supposed to be the first one, guys.
That's okay.
Should I just tell it real quick? For the stream? Or should we save it?
No, we gotta save it.
He has to be on. He has to be on.
We'll save it.
Lyle has to answer to it.
Okay.
So,
yes.
Okay.
And in closing, I just want to say MacArthur.
Oh, hey, who coined that? Hey,
MacArthur.
Who coined that?
We did.
You know what I'm saying? We trademarked that.
We trademarked that.
MacArthur. For those who don't know, I shall return. MacArthur.
Okay.
And he did.
For Philippine Independence Day.
Philippine Independence Day. Shout out General MacArthur.
Hey, MacArthur.
Shout out Jose Rizal and all like the heroes and shout out Dolphy. Rest in peace. I could keep going.
Man,
right?
Tito Dolphy. And if you guys don't forget, Joe Coy dropped his special today on
yes,
Netflix.
Sir. Yeah. Make sure you check out the Joe Coy special.
I've watched it twice.
Support your Filipino artists. Support every artist, really, but support Joe Coy. Yeah. He did it. He went to the Philippines, right? And he did. He did the show up there. So please support.
Shout out to my brother Joey Gia.
Hey, yeah, right. Didn't he's part of the show, right?
He's in it too. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe.
And guess who's DJ was?
Illmind.
Oh, you know what? Lyle posted that. Yo, shout out Illmind, by the way, who obviously I didn't know from a hole in the wall back in the day, but
he used
I
to come
should
kick
have.
it with us. Yeah,
because I should have because he is like one of the illest producers out there. No joke. Like the beats he did on Little Brother's albums, forget it. Like every time I listen to like Little Brother albums with Illmind beats, like cerebral spinal fluid leaks out of my ear.
Did you save it?
Oh, yeah. So
combined with Pangit Mansi.
With Maasim Pangit. So big ups Illmind, big ups Joe Coy. Thanks again, Dave, Quincy. Thanks for modding. Hey, for real, Quincy, plug your Twitch. I know. So Quincy is a comic book artist. If you didn't know, with the OG Filipino superhero. Don't let anybody tell you any different, because there's anybody out there that's biting and doing stuff. But Quincy has the OG Kawal Filipino comic book superhero. So go ahead and plug your site.
So my comic book is called Kawal or Kawal.
Kawal.
For the deeper Tagalog, Soldier of the People. Issue 0 is out. Working on issue number 1. You can find it on theartofquincyvictoria.com. I'm also dropping my Twitch stream fairly soon. I'm just waiting on my tripod. And that will be at QV the Artist, which is also my Twitter and my Instagram.
Man, so follow
Check
QV
it
the
out.
Artist. Oh, look at that.
Hey, okay. Check it out.
Well, I think I've expired the time that I have done not watching my kids. So I'm sure the wife wants to kill me now. So I need to.
Good job. Good work.
Play with the kids. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And we're gonna have more episodes to come.
Lucas.
If you, like I said, if you don't know, the CVO narrative is the podcast. Go back to my link that has everything. www.streamerlinks.com/Voltese has all the content you need.
Chips on your face.
I am open to feedback. I'm open to questions. I'm open to everything because I'm really here doing it for y'all. Like, it's free content. I'm not trying to make money. If I do, great. If you want to contribute, great. But it's not my purpose. My purpose is to give back and bring my network in for them to give back as well. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
Your soul.
Oh, from inside your insides. Thank you. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Look out for the next event. Love you guys.
Love you.
Peace.
Yes, peace. Peace, a candy.
So casually keep diving into concrete. So bittersweet. Huh? Keep losing sleep while driving in the backseat. What's left of me? Drowning in what feels just like an ocean.